Oh, hey, I'm on this time.
Yeah, I made sure of it.
I'm
Gonna
legit.
Be super cool this episode.
Oh shit, he's got the sunglasses on.
Look out, everybody.
Deal with it.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
You'll have to pull him on and say, "Deal with it." Just as a.
All right, welcome to the show.
What's
Looks
going
like
on,
he
folk?
spent his time poorly.
Fuck. Yes,
That was a good one.
I liked it.
Hi, welcome to the show.
I was waiting for a better Caruso line than
Except for-
poorly.
Doesn't he put them on? He doesn't take them off, does he? He puts them on, right?
I think.
No,
both.
I think he does
he?
both.
Okay.
I think it's both.
It depends on if he's exiting
On what he's doing.
There's a lot
or
of sunglasses
coming or going.
manipulation by the man, though.
Yeah,
My voice is a little different this week.
it's like his sunglass manipulation is akin to Martin Sheen's coat
Oh yeah,
flap.
That thing is something.
What do they call those stupid human
Big
tricks?
thanks to Bruno
That's
for
great.
pointing that out.
Yeah, that's a win.
Well, I told Ron last time that he and I did the show that my dad pointed out to me that that's due to like an injury or like a congenital.
Yeah, he's got
thing.
one arm shorter than the other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
By like 3 inches.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's a whole fly. That was only funny to them because it was, it was an earlier joke.
That was clever. That was an inside joke. Florida teacher who secretly recorded more than 100 naked girls in his classroom sentenced to 15 years.
Over how long? Like what? Yeah. Okay, sentenced to 15 years. I want to know how many years he amassed 100.
He could have done that in a
Naked
year.
girls.
It's Florida.
324 counts of video voyeurism.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he looks
That's a
like
cool
it.
looking dude.
Yeah. He looks like Eric Bana and Stephen Root got smashed together in a
that's a
Camino
good,
cloning
damn.
lab.
That's a great way of putting it.
That's an astute comparison right there.
Yeah, he didn't get Eric Bana's ears though.
Oh, he's got some big ears.
Yeah, and they're
Can
fucking
you scroll
close
down
to
a-
his dome.
Scroll down a little more. See if it talks more about it.
Yeah. Did you want to read any of the?
Secretly filmed dozens of
I don't
students changing clothes in his fashion design classroom, was sentenced to 15 years behind bars.
I don't want to say the dude's name because I don't want to give him any more recognition than he's already getting.
I
from
do.
these
I want
people.
everybody in that Florida prison to know who he is. Mark William
Oh, I'm
Atkins.
sure they will.
If you don't kill him behind bars, then you could probably get shanked.
Where he's going, he's gonna be the pie. There's so much suffering in this case by so many different people due to the actions of the defendant. There's very little I can say today to make any of that better, said Judge Laura Ward, according to the Tampa Bay Times.
They could have given him a month.
Oh, you scroll down some more for me? Please and thank
He's
you.
52.
What no, okay. He was arrested on September 12th, 2018, and was convicted on April 1st of this year.
So what's he doing in the 2.5 years?
Sitting
Just
in a
kind of
county
floating
jail.
around.
Probably sitting in county.
Really?
Yeah, more than
Hillsborough.
likely.
Would they have
First
kept him
sheriff's
in there for that?
Yep.
Really?
For that kind
Would
of
have
a
figured he
crime?
would have been out on
No.
bail.
For that kind of a crime, I don't think they'd be letting him out.
No, they have to give him a bail for due process. Like
Well-
if especially on a nonviolent charge, but it could have been anything. It's up to the judge. It could have been $1. It could have been a million.
Yeah.
And for 300 something, I mean, they could have given him
And
1,000 on each count.
Recording.
It would have been 300
Yeah,
something thousand.
exactly. Recording 124 of his students and an adult teacher over a period of nearly 2 years.
There.
Jesus.
That's the time frame. Wow.
His defense lawyers asked for a maximum sentence of 3 years plus probation, saying that he would continue seeking treatment for a diagnosed, quote, voyeuristic disorder.
I just gotta look at
So
things.
just
wonder-
fucking go on Pornhub, buddy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Hello, have you heard of OnlyFans for the low price of like
Nothing.
depending on the girl, very little.
Yeah, you
they'll
can
make
give her
videos
50
where they
cents.
tell you, they talk to you. It's personalized. It's
Yeah.
During the
Oh,
2
but
hour
he doesn't want to be
sentencing
talked
hearing,
to. He's voyeuristic.
Yeah.
His kink is them not knowing he's there.
So they send him videos, and they're like, "Gosh, I sure hope nobody's watching me while I take all of my clothes off." And I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there in case one of those two people watching is my son, because I almost said something really bad.
And I did say it.
Oh no, I was going worse than that. He stayed composed while some of his friends, fellow church members, as well as his wife of 30 years, begged for leniency. You really, bitch? You begged for leniency after you found out your husband was filming?
I'd have been like, "See ya, pal."
Yeah, he would go watch those videos, get hot to trot, and come home and destroy her
Hey,
world.
babe.
That's
my unbuttoning.
According to the paper, he couldn't bring himself to look at the dozens of former students and colleagues who attended the hearing. The first
Because they
victim
had
to
clothes
speak,
on.
Eva Appleby, worked alongside him for 12 years when he was assistant principal at Bloomingdale High School, then again when he returned to the school in 2017 after a stint working in the district offices.
They gave him up because he was videotaping the secretaries in the shitter.
Man, I can't believe, wow. His wife went to bat for him? That's, wow. I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, huzzah for the loyalty, but probably misplaced.
He returned to the school as the girl's track coach and fashion design teacher.
And he's wearing that shirt?
He collected, cropped, and edited hundreds of nude and partially nude videos and photos. Dude, I got to think that there'd be like some kind of...
Cropped and edited. Holy shit.
I wonder
what was he doing with them?
Yeah. Well, he's probably...
He's a fashion designer.
Probably distributing them.
Probably making montages. On the catwalk. On the cat.
I'm too sexy for filming nude. Too sexy for filming
They're all of his video compilations are to that song.
Yeah.
Right, said Fred.
Wait, so I don't know. I guess
hold on. Yeah, I'll teach fashion design.
Yeah, like I don't know. I hope you get the help you need because you need help, and I hope that one day I can see you in heaven. But I think you need nothing less than the maximum sentence for everything you've done to us, said one of the victims.
I'm surprised he didn't get shanked in county.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, really?
We used to keep them separate.
This is
when I worked at the
What was
jail.
his sentence? How many years?
15.
15 years. And the defense attorneys wanted him to get 3.
He could still get out in 3.
Oh yeah, and he more than likely.
I think 15's fair. I think I would give life personally if I was the
Sometimes
person
they can't.
giving out the sentence.
It
Yeah,
depends
I know.
on what they can do, but man, 300.
If I wrote the law,
counts, is that what it was? 324.
Yeah,
know what it said?
120. Oh yeah, it was 324.
Yeah, there was
125
students,
victims.
but yeah.
One was a teacher.
That's weird.
It is.
I mean, the whole thing is weird. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that there's just this one adult lady, like, what was it? Was she really short and like petite? Did she look like she could still potentially be a child?
or was
she really was she really young?
Or
was she like a super young teacher's assistant type who was just fresh out of college and only 22 years old?
Or was she like, I'll just change in this this changing room?
She spilled coffee on her dress in the wrong fucking
And he's like,
bag.
no,
No! Don't go in there.
Why not? I mean, never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Go ahead, I guess.
Just turn. I'll delete that shit.
I like you. I almost didn't recognize your voice there. That was actually good. You said your voice changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wind was blowing pollen out of the dogwood trees. Tweez?
Tweez?
How did it tweeze?
Fucking Elmer Fudd over here. Yeah. I get about 2 weeks of really harshness when the.
Oh yeah, I'm all sniffly right now.
When the fucking
Claritin does nothing right now.
Matthew's mom had really, really bad allergies, and apparently he's inherited them from I don't know. I never have any problems with that kind of stuff, but he's sneezing and sniffling. Oh, Dad, my nose is plugged. Dad, my nose is plugged.
Yeah, I never
dude,
did
allergies.
until post-army. And now it's only about 2 weeks a year.
I've had stuff since I was a kid. I got allergy shots when I was a kid, and then I did a little bit of them as an adult. But you have to keep on doing maintenance on it, and it's fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that shit.
So I just do Claritin now and just kind of suffer.
Yeah, I just suck it up for a couple weeks.
You're lucky it's only a couple weeks. I'm pretty much annual, but
Yeah.
right now, like
Dogwoods in front of the house just fucking maul me.
my eyeballs don't always itch like they do right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually as
Yeah, if you
front congested, but
if you smash one of those Claritin up and snort it, or absorb it rectally, if you do the bum, you'll feel better.
really,
No,
I'm gonna try it.
I'm gonna try.
Hey, man.
I'm gonna
I'm
snort
gonna try
one,
it.
and I'm gonna moisten up a towelette.
No, not really. Yeah, but I'll try it anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, it won't work.
I don't know, man. I put that Claritin up my ass 3 hours ago, and I don't feel any different at all.
I kept pushing it deeper.
I don't know. Maybe you need to put more up there.
Started butt chugging my
Is
beer.
that how it works? If one's good, two's better. Yeah.
Pop 2 Xanax.
Cram them up there.
Well, anyway,
And I guess part of it is like, who gets all the way nude
Oh wait,
in a
scroll
classroom?
Scroll up. Yeah, that's a good question. He was only caught because one of his students noticed a box with a light coming from it when she was changing in a dressing area inside the classroom. Inside the box, she found a cell phone that appeared to be recording.
oh, high tech.
Super high tech. That's what I was going to say. Like, why is there a teddy bear in this room? Oh, don't worry about the teddy bear.
That's a nanny.
That's
cam.
a nanny cam.
Honey, why do you have 2 cell phones? Don't worry about it. Yeah, I need one for the fashion class.
I have one for
That's my
fashion class.
Yeah. Well, why don't you just put like
The first
those?
rule of fashion
I
class.
it's
is you
because
don't
my
talk about
contacts.
fashion class.
Man, that's yuck.
Yeah.
Fucking. What's wrong with people?
And then
I know,
I swear to
motherfucker
God.
tapes my daughter.
What's-
He's not
what's-
making it to
what's
fucking court. I
fucking
know
wrong
people
with
say
people?
that shit, but I fucking mean it because I don't give a shit about my life.
well, what I don't understand.
I have
and
really conflicting feelings on that, actually. Because I don't. You know this. You probably don't know this, but that the situation that you're describing, they weren't filming her. They were literally like prostituting her out and whatnot. But they were friends of the family. Dude wound up. His daughter was getting into drugs and getting abused by these people, and they were prostituting her out and all this kind of stuff. And he found out about it, and he went and fucking killed them both. And having watched what, I mean, obviously everything that they went through was really fucked up in general, but adding that
the aftermath,
adding that to the pile of like he's doing life in prison, all of that kind of shit on top of it, it's I can at least see a compelling argument to not go that route, much as
Oh yeah,
just to
I
give
don't-
that stability, like
I don't
family
know.
stability. That
I would have a really, my thing is I'd have a really hard time stopping myself.
right.
Like, I guess I'm a relatively passionate person, but I mean, I'd get real hot under the collar real quick, and
act without thinking.
very possibly,
Yeah.
very, very possibly.
We talked about this
Even
a little bit in
knowing
our
what I
chat
know.
about like the guy that murdered his wife, and
Oh,
how we
yeah,
kind
the-
of how we
that
how we
that
kind of
news
get
faux
it,
pas?
right? But at the same time, like I had mentioned, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around like what gets you there.
yeah.
Gets you over the edge.
Someone filming my kid would get me there.
Oh yeah, totally,
But
absolutely.
with a spouse, just because I feel like there's a way out. If you want out, you can
Well,
Yeah.
sever ties, but it's difficult
I stand by the
to
point.
put myself in those shoes, I guess.
I stand by the point that I made when we were talking about it. Was the dude literally said that when he was confronted about not just getting a divorce, he actually said that he didn't want to put his children through the trauma of their parents divorcing and all that. And it's like, okay, so
you killed them.
So you killed them. That's your fucking plan B?
Yeah.
What? How does that go to there?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't
So
work at all.
I decided
They're saved
I was
from
gonna.
every trauma.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
gonna happen.
You know what I could do? I could prevent them from ever being traumatized again.
Fucking Thanos logic.
Yeah.
Just
But no,
donkey punch.
I agree with what you said about the finding a way out and whatnot. She was like,
A lunatic.
I would have had a hard time being / staying married to that woman. But it's a far cry from, God, I should just divorce this lady and move on with my life too. You know what?
I think murder is the
I'm
next step.
I'm gonna kill her.
Yeah, it's a giant leap, but I totally get it. Like, I wouldn't do it, but I understand it. Like, you get to a point in a marriage where you've got that sunk cost fallacy that's just eating you up. You're like, I've put 15, 20 years into this, and who am I without it? Who am I if I divorce her
Right.
and she's out fucking some other dude? Like,
So
who am I?
So maybe that person's
Dude,
thought in the moment is exactly that. Who am I in this moment? Like,
Yeah.
and so it's like, just fuck it all. But he stopped short. Like they usually stop short of like ending themselves.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
I
can't do this.
I had
and then while their wife's lying there,
at the
Like,
puddle of blood.
but at the end of the day, I will just disappear. I have a bag with, everything I need in it, and I'll just disappear.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I would just be gone. Where did Hudds go? No one fucking knows. No one knows. Maybe he's living out in
It's
the
a better
woods.
solution than killing.
Maybe
your
he
whole family.
wandered across the country and started just put up stakes in a brand new town, changed his name, calls himself Jorge Estrada.
Dude,
now.
I went through massive fucking identity crisis towards the end of my marriage, and then coming out the other side of it, just for exactly that. It's the sunk cost, isn't that what you said?
Yeah, the
It's-
sunk
yeah,
cost fallacy
it's-
is. They call it
it's-
the gambler's fallacy. You're like, oh, I'm in this for X amount of dollars.
We were together for like 13, 12 years. Married for almost 10, and I'm only 36. That's a if you
Almost
remove
a third of your life.
well, yeah, and then if you remove the time frame where I was a child and hadn't become an adult yet or anything, like it's basically
Yeah.
all of my adult life for not all of it, but the vast majority of it. And then when you come out the other side of it, and when the writing's on the wall and it's the end, and you're having to have these conversations in your head with yourself, confronting like, what the fuck comes next? Where do I go from here? Those those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's man. It fucks with a person's head, and I can understand feeling trapped and feeling like there's no way out. There's no way out. This is never going to end. Even if I divorce her, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. If I'm leaving this woman because of the reasons that I'm leaving for, and she's like this while I'm married to her, what the fuck is she going to be
and
when she's divorced from me? And, then
And maybe
I feel,
it's at that point you're
I
having
know.
that.
yeah, I know.
I know.
Wonder Twin powers activate.
When you're at that point where you're just kind of throwing all out,
Yeah,
you've probably
yeah.
he was probably at a point where he was ready to end it all, like
Yeah.
himself, her, and everything, and then he just kind of came to at the wrong time.
I would like to know more.
But it makes me
perspective
wonder
from
about the kids. Like, why the kids? I mean, his rationale for that was
I don't.
Maybe he did it because he
nonsensical.
killed their mother. Like,
Maybe
what are
his
my
his
kids going to
plan-
think of me after this? I don't want to have that conversation. I'll just ice them too.
and dump them in a vat of oil.
Is that what he did?
Well, didn't he say that
He stuffed them in like a
they were stuffed in not water containers, but like something
tanker,
similar,
a big,
yeah.
like he had climbed up with them and then stuffed them down a hole about this big around.
Jesus, that's dedication.
but
see,
they-
that dude's not.
he's
all there.
way past the pale.
he did say that one of them at least came into the room
While it was happening.
while it was happening, and maybe that's what. Maybe he didn't have any
he just had
intent of
that
killing
fucking
them.
bloodlust
And then,
going, and
well,
he's
they
like,
walk in and you're like, oh,
"Fuck."
what are you doing to mommy? Oh, fuck.
Well, now I
Caught
gotta
me.
kill
Now
you.
I
show
gotta
ya.
do it to you. Yeah, I'll show you.
I've got two of you down. I might as well take the third and
but,
blame it
yeah.
on some Puerto Rican guy.
No, that's the thing that was the thing that I thought was, in all honesty, I think in my eyes, it's probably the worst part of it, that he tried to pin it on her.
Yeah.
He killed her and their kids, and then tried to make it out like she went nuts and did one of
she
the.
killed them.
I killed
She
my
killed
kids
the
and then
kids
killed
and then-
myself.
And he
kinda
killed.
thing.
Well, no, that he confessed to killing her. He tried to say that she killed the kids, and because
That's right,
he was
and
so enraged by
that's
her
right.
killing the
That's
kids,
right. I
he
forgot
killed
about
her.
that. I forgot about that.
God, that's a good defense.
It was.
So see, he wasn't crazy.
No,
he was totally
he was
lucid. I mean, he
way-
was crazy, but not like
Not
like nuts.
not psychotic crazy, like removed from reality crazy. He
Yeah.
was very fucking aware of what was going on and very in the moment.
yeah. But do we know if she killed the kids? I mean, was there evidence that he did that, or did she do it and he killed?
No,
them?
he confessed to it. After.
Oh,
He
did
ended- ultimately
he
confessed.
explained because they wanted to know where the bodies were and everything, and he explained how he did it and what happened and where the bodies were. And all
Yeah.
this,
Usually,
yeah.
when the kids are killed, it really is the woman.
But
Like 9 out of every 10.
Well, yeah, like the lady
Child
that drove
slaying,
the
it's
kids
the
into the
fucking-
Oh, yeah,
lake
yeah.
and shit.
Yeah.
And that every time I watch that fucking who's that young gal that murdered her daughter but got off?
Casey
Lacey
Anthony?
Casey
Anthony. Oh, I fucking hate that bitch. Every time
she's
I
got the dead eyes, man.
Yeah.
It makes you uncomfortable to look at her.
and she did it.
Yeah, I've
so
seen
like
those in a fish market. Flying
man,
past
it's
my
like,
head in
yeah.
Seattle. Like, oh shit, it's Casey Anthony.
and
Nope,
she did
it's
it
just
so
a tuna.
early, like so young. She was only like 22 or something like that. So like to have that fucking
Yeah.
murderous capacity at that age, like okay, you shouldn't have been a parent for one.
Yeah. I don't
'Cause-
know. I think most people shouldn't be parents. Sometimes I hope this vaccine really does
Way,
fucking like sterilize a bunch of people.
there are way more people who
There's a whole bunch of people.
Jeff
shouldn't
sent
be
me a
fucking
link
kids.
about like, and I don't know about the validity of the link, but if it's true, I'm fucked. But but it was something to the effect of like, there's going to be a third wave, but it's going to kill people that have been vaccinated.
That'd be wild. Did you get
It's-
vaccinated?
I had to. Well, not had to, but
Family pressure.
well, no. We're going to a wedding at the end of the month,
Yeah.
and so I don't want. I don't want to be the only guy there that has to explain
Don't.
why I didn't get
You
vaccinated.
don't have to.
you don't have to.
But also,
That's
I
the
think I
thing,
would have
though.
been uninvited had I not been.
yeah,
Oh,
And I
well,
don't-
Then you don't have to go to a wedding. That's awesome.
Right.
I mean, I'd miss the food,
But
but
I know.
fucking weddings take forever, and you know it's gonna fail.
I don't know.
Mr. Positive. But I think at
Fuck,
some point,
both my parents have been divorced twice.
I know.
I've been divorced, never getting married again. Fucking, no, my grandparents got divorced after 40 some years. No,
Oh, wow.
marriage doesn't fucking
That was
work.
one that always.
No, it made
That's,
total sense.
Well, I mean, it makes.
He retired.
No,
and
it makes.
he's like, I can't
it-
spend all day with her.
It makes sense.
His
I
remarriage
just-
doesn't make sense.
It's
That fucking bitch. Boy, she's just
and I guess
like
I don't
a
know. Maybe I'm
fucking horrible person.
maybe I'm wrong, and there could be statistics to back it up for me. But I would think that like most people, once they're married for that amount of time, you probably don't see a tremendous rate of divorce in
Nope.
people that have been married for that amount of time.
And the time is exactly when he did it. Like he retired, and it was like, I can't do this.
Done.
I can't be around her all day.
I
every day.
popped in at an interesting time. Hi, Jenny. Welcome to the show.
No, I think for me and we talked a little bit about this before, but it's not. I'm not trying to like cater to anybody, but I'm also in the back of my head. I think at some point we're gonna want to do something, and
it'll come up.
And it's well,
It'll be a thing.
or it'll yeah
Yeah,
it's
and
gonna
you don't
be-
want to. You don't want to go through the bullshit involved in fighting
right
discrimination.
yeah,
right.
Because not only is it a HIPAA violation to even ask
even
if
ask
I've been
you, yeah.
vaccinated, but like every other goddamn thing, I
Right.
get it.
Right. And, you know,
But I can use it as an excuse not to spend time with other people, and that's awesome.
well, that's true.
oh, no,
so-
I'm sorry, I'm not vaccinated.
My first vaccine, I had zero reaction to it all. Like I was worried about like having some sort of reaction with having the history of blood clots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any reaction, like not a sore arm, nothing. So I don't know. I don't know what the second one's going to look like, but
Yeah, you haven't put it directly
I
into
heard
your
the second
asshole.
one's worse.
that's what
Like pretty consistently, I heard the second one's worse.
Bless you.
excuse me.
I was talking to a guy this morning, older guy, like Grandpa's age, and he'd gotten it. And in between the 2 shots, he got pneumonia.
Oof.
And he got it the night after the second shot. And he's like, it couldn't have been that because pneumonia just doesn't pop up like that. Like, you totally didn't fucking pick up that you, but whatever.
Well, I think one thing I
Fucking
think
people.
it happens with people that are hospitalized for whatever kind of prevailing condition, and then they start to like, I won't say who, but I know like there's a person indirectly that I know about that was really sick, started getting better, and they gave him the COVID shot, and then he died.
Hank Aaron?
No, but that's a similar situation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, got sick, started to get better, and then they're like, before you hit the road, though, you should get this COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
And and he died at like a heart attack or something, but it was just one of those things was like, seems awfully interesting that the vaccine, and it could have just been coincidental,
Yeah.
and he could have just had.
We've said COVID too many times for this to stay on the YouTubes.
Oh, really? Did they pull
They'll
it down?
pull it down.
Oh, wow.
Well, if you listen to the people, like, oh, I won't even say Covidius Maximus because they'll pull my video down. And they have an
They'll
army of fucking
demonetize, but
people.
we're not monetized.
Oh,
Yeah.
They demonetize. Yeah, they.
We have freedom.
Yeah, don't worry about us ever getting monetized, unless you got
I
about
say cocksucker, too.
7,500 friends that want to subscribe.
yeah.
Just for starters, and then another 1.5 million behind them.
Yeah. I wonder how many of those are like Twitter followers that just aren't real.
Oh,
Like it's
subscribers?
Just, yeah, they're just Russian bots that have jumped on.
to like some of these big channels. I would.
Well, to the big channels and to just, I mean, I've had some followers that were just random fucking people.
Oh,
And there's
yeah.
no way they'd find me. And then it turns out, like, you look at theirs and like, oh, it's a brand new account and it's following fucking 9,000 people.
There's
and I
ones
just
that'll
happen
do
to
like
be
follow.
one of them.
They'll follow you in hopes that you'll follow them back. So that they do like a follow for follow thing.
I didn't even do
but-
that to Chris Barron, lead singer of the Spin Doctors. I was like, nah,
Yeah.
I don't need to.
When I discovered Zach Ward had followed me, I followed him back.
Nice.
But I don't know. I think he was doing a follow for follow thing just to try to build his followers.
It kind
Weren't
of
you
seemed
in
like
contact with him for a while?
I was in contact with him,
he ghosted us.
and then he ghosted me.
Yeah, that
on it.
Brutal.
But I don't know if he just. I try not to read too much into fucking messaging on Twitter and Facebook and shit because, also he could have had a change of heart between whenever I reached out to him
who
before.
knows? He's
And now-
had a lot going on in
He's
his
got
life here lately.
Well, he's got his dad going through like Alzheimer's, and then he just started a cameo, and I think his cameo thing is like $80 a cameo. So I don't know that he's going to be
See,
doling
yeah.
out free podcast interviews to.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
was so. It's funny that you'd say that because that was one of the things I was looking at of like, dude, ways to increase followers, get more eyes on us and whatnot. I was like, hey, start interviewing people that do things of interest to me. And I was looking around at that, and there's a thing called GalaxyCon that I came across that's coming up here later in May, beginning of June, and because of COVID and everything, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff like digitally, and they have it where you can like order autographed memorabilia, those kind of things. They'll be broadcasting a live Q&A that anybody can watch, but then if you want, you can basically buy into different like tier type things.
You can get
of
into
it.
Studio
And
H if you
They
pay
had a
them
bunch
money.
of really interesting people. Like there was several people from various iterations of Star Trek, Seven of Nine was actually one of them.
Fuck yeah, Jerry Ryan. Woo!
Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton from Reanimator were going to be there with the wife of the late Stuart Gordon, the guy that directed the movie. There's a couple people from Supernatural. Like, they have different themed events for, like, we're doing this Q&A for 4 hours, and then we're doing this one for 4 hours or whatever. And so I was like, oh, well, they said you can order things or do personal chats. And I was like, oh, well, shit, that might be, see what you can do. For 2 minutes of their time, a 2-minute conversation with one of these people cost you $55.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, man, fuck, that's so
You'd have
hard.
to hang brain to make that worthwhile.
That's if you wanted to do anything with it other than just like you're going to spend $55 so you can say, man, I'm a really big fan of yours and I really love this thing and this
Thanks,
thing that you
The
did and this
Rock.
thing, and they say thanks and you're 2 minutes up. Like,
Right.
that's, you're going to spend $55 to fucking
Right.
blow
I
it?
wouldn't even
What?
spend $55 on a video game I want.
Yeah, man. For 2 minutes,
Right.
I couldn't believe it. And some of them are more expensive than that.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are like $80 for 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. Well, and like for Zach Ward's thing, like when I had asked him and he said sounds fun, and then the shit came up or whatever.
Yeah.
That was fine. But then sometime in the interim, I just gave it time until I thought I was ready to kind of like get organized enough to put the interview questions together and
Yeah.
have and be able to have a cohesive show.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to him, but about the time I reached out to him, he had just put out shared an episode of a podcast, just another small show that he'd been on. And so I kind of thought to myself, well, this guy's not going to want to keep doing
Yeah.
Yeah.
podcast interviews where he's going to say basically the same thing for no money.
Yeah.
It's not going to, it's the likelihood of it increasing his exposure isn't going to,
Especially
Go-
not ours with
right.
like 2 eyes on us.
right, isn't going to go up that
That's
much.
not gonna.
And so the more I thought, and so I was like, boy, and after he didn't respond, I was like, I'm not even going to follow up on it. I'm just going to let it.
Yeah.
let it
Right.
sit.
Because, I mean, it's not that and I'm not like, I don't feel any animus towards him over it.
Oh no.
I just am like, whatever. But, because I can't really blame him. I wouldn't want to be the guy that goes on to
A bunch of
a bunch of
Dudes
low-level
sitting in
podcasts
garages.
going, "Hey, dude, when you played Farkas," and he's gonna that's his bread and butter to an extent, so he's gonna eat that shit up.
yeah.
And he's got like stuff that he's basically rehearsed, and
I wonder if he gets residuals from Christmas Story.
I'm sure, but on the other hand, he just did a movie he was just in a movie that Bruce Willis was in.
Yeah.
Which isn't as big as
Which
it used
isn't a
to
big,
be.
isn't
Nearly
that,
as impressive
It's not
as
that big of a deal, Zach
was
Ward.
back in the
Motherfucker's
80s.
still
Have you looked
riding on the
at Bruce's filmography lately?
coattails of fucking Moonlighting and Die Hard.
Yeah.
Some of that Fifth Element action.
God, I love that movie.
Oh man, he had such a good run,
Multipass.
and then he, I don't know what he did, but he'll never come back to TV.
Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
You don't think so? He did a cameo on Friends.
No, I'm talking like
Oh, he won't do a
he wouldn't do a series. I doubt he'd do a series.
I don't think he
Probably
would.
doesn't need to.
There's a lot of people who are doing series now that you thought would never.
That's
and
true.
I don't think he's the type that would.
That's what I thought or think. A name that comes to mind is John Cusack. I didn't think that he would do a series, and he popped up in that Utopia one.
God, that's fun.
And supposedly Nicolas Cage is in the process of doing some.
He'll do
Series.
anything though.
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't seem necessarily for the art
No,
aspect of it.
I think he just likes working. I know he had tax problems,
stay
but I'm
busy,
pretty
man.
sure he's gotten enough paychecks to pay the IRS off.
Gotta stay
Because he's been in so much shit.
Yeah.
Like so much shit. Do you watch Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, we talked about it on the
I
show.
know we talked about it, but I didn't remember if you'd watched it or not.
Yeah.
Like, what a fucking terrible movie, but so fun.
That's when I watched it 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
So everything was kicked
God,
up a
now
notch.
I keep meaning to do that because I want to see some of those
It's
fight
all-
scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's fast.
They look like they actually have fighting talent.
No, Tony Jaw's amazing.
Oh, Tony Jaw's in it?
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah. He's badass.
Super.
You know, he was
badass.
a stunt performer on the Mortal Kombat movie.
Was he?
wow.
Yeah,
Why didn't they just have him be in it?
right. Why wasn't he Liu Kang
Or anybody?
or any of them? But yeah, no, he was a stunt performer on the first Mortal Kombat.
I mean, he's
movie.
not. Oh, the first one.
And as was Ray Park. Actually, Ray Park.
Hasn't he done more stunt work than he has actual acting gigs?
Ray Park.
Yeah, he's amazing. What a cool.
Honestly,
fucking guy.
probably yeah. He's probably done more stunt work than acting work. He's kind of like the. There's a lot of similarities with Zoe Bell, the chick from all Quentin Tarantino's movies.
Yeah.
Except I don't dislike watching him on screen. There's something wrong with her. I just don't like watching her.
I really liked her in Death Proof.
Was she good in that?
That's the only one that I've seen her in that I really
She was brief enough in Hollywoodland
enjoyed.
Once
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah. She was really minor, and I really like Death Proof though. It gets a lot of shit from people for
I enjoy that movie.
it being so.
I
But it's supposed to be.
It's so heavily
supposed to
schlocky.
be like that's
Yeah.
the whole.
The other one was Planet Dead,
By
right?
design, Planet Terror.
Planet Terror.
That movie's fun as shit.
Is it?
Yeah.
I couldn't watch the Grindhouse movies because it was just they were both too long. Like put together, it was too much.
I went and saw.
I went and saw him in the theater.
I saw it in the theater,
you?
double
Yeah.
feature. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
They had it all done up to be a double feature.
The fake trailers that played in between
Yeah.
the movies and stuff.
That sounded
It
like
was-
the best part. I remember you coming back after that and talking about it.
Dude, the one that was
Wasn't there a machete trailer?
there was a
And
machete
then they made a
trailer, there
machete
was-
movie.
Eli Roth did one called Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was like
Didn't
a
Rob Zombie do
holiday
one too?
themed one. Rob Zombie did Werewolf Women of the SS, which was like they made a shitload of movies that really probably could have been called Werewolf Women of the SS back in the early 70s when they were making all those exploitation movies like that. And what was it? Edgar Wright, that's the name I was looking for. The guy that did like Shaun of the Dead and stuff. He did one that was just called Don't. And it's the best one of the bunch. And all of them are cool in their own way, but it's the only one that's like really literally genuinely funny the way that they shoot it, because the narrator just keeps saying, is he gonna go into the room? Don't. Is he gonna open it? Don't. And it just, the don'ts speed up as the trailer goes, and it just gets more over the top. And it's really genuinely funny. It's on YouTube. I'm sure it's 90 seconds long or something. It's worth watching. But
Yeah, Edgar Wright's one of the best.
he's super talented.
I love all of his movies.
He's got a new one coming out here.
Hot Fuzz is better every time I watch it.
I love that movie so much. So much.
And Shaun of the Dead is maybe the best zombie movie. I like Zombieland too, though, and I watched that the other night when Alex was with me.
Man,
Zombieland 2 was not great.
Wasn't it? I didn't see it.
I don't know. Maybe I need to try and rewatch it. And I didn't get a whole lot out of Zombieland.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike it, but I didn't see the appeal that so many other people saw in it. But I felt that way about Superbad too. I've had so many people,
yeah,
especially people from like my age group, who are, Superbad's the best comedy ever made. It's the best high school comedy ever made. Blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't know.
I thought it was good the first time.
I thought it was good when I saw it, and I watched it. I think I watched it one or two times after, but I don't know that it's one that would hold up if I rewatched it.
I'll turn it on and fall asleep to it every once in a while. So I've seen the beginning probably 11 times.
Really?
But it's one, it puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
Now and two, it just the second time I watched it wasn't anywhere near as good as the first. It's one of those ones like, it just doesn't hold up on rewatching.
It was one that I didn't have a whole lot.
I
of
wonder if
interest
that's
in
the
rewatching.
the case with like the American Pie movies too.
I don't know. That
As-
first one was good.
Yeah, I mean, all the
second one
the
wasn't
beats and
bad.
everything were good.
Yeah.
But I just wonder how well it would hold up under the scrutiny of us having aged 15, 20 years since they
Yeah.
came out.
I don't know. I graduated the year they did, so that's
Right. Well, it was right in my.
and it's got the soundtrack was really good. I had
This
it
will
for a long
transition
time.
well into our
That's what I
music
was
thing.
doing. Because one of my choices is just soundtracks, because I was so into soundtracks from junior high. Like as soon as I got a stereo in 7th grade until like at
yeah.
least my mid-20s.
I didn't have a soundtrack on there, but now I have a soundtrack that's an honorable mention that I'll add to my
No, mine is
list.
just soundtracks in general, because there were so many of them. Like I just had loads of soundtracks, and then I would
That's
go
cheating, man.
every once in a while. I would go. Well, I couldn't come up with a 5th band
It's cheating.
because I didn't have that many that were influential. I didn't get into music until later,
See, and
which
I
is funny
struggled-
because I grew up in
struggled-
a radio station.
I struggled with it in terms of the influential part, just because.
Well, influential is kind of an
I-
ambiguous word.
Yeah, no, and when I started looking at it from more of a just like bands that meant something to me or had a profound effect on my life, it was a little bit easier. But
That's more what I was. Yeah, not.
and we're just doing.
I won't say
to
like a band.
graduation, right?
Yeah,
Because there were like I didn't get
well-
into music until late in my 20s.
Yes,
You
Before
could-
that, it was just shit that I'd heard, and I was
Yeah.
like, I like that. I'll listen to that again, and I know the words to like.
I dipped
everything
into
from back
I
in the
dipped
day.
into my freshman year of college just because, and for me, because I came from a fucking small town and moved to another a bigger small town.
yeah,
But I moved here, and so I was still like had pretty low exposure to stuff, and growing up, like for a long time, like my musical, like the music that I listened to when I was like little, that like my friend's dad introduced me to was like Beach Boys and like some of the older shit like that.
I love-
like Righteous Brothers and shit like that.
Yeah,
and
Unchained Melody always hit me.
Yeah.
in ads.
well, and yeah, but be in 6th grade when you're trying to convince the rest of your
Dude,
6th grade
wait
friends.
until we get into my shit.
I was
my
gonna
shit
say.
was fucking. So
and-
I said
and I'm sure
soundtracks
that-
is number 5.
I'm sure that you and I
We've got
probably
some
overlap
crossover
a little bit.
because we listen.
We
to a
listen
lot
to
of
way
shit.
too much music together for it not to really.
Yeah.
You want to get into it?
Yeah,
do
so
it.
so soundtracks. I know it's cheating, but I took that.
Yeah.
Because-
I don't really consider it cheating.
Because
I can-
there were, and had I been thinking deeply about it back then, I would have looked at who put the soundtrack together, and I would have picked those people, because I'm sure that there were a lot of those, especially if they came from the same studios, ended up getting very similar people.
Right, people
working,
that are
like,
building-
Oh, this fits this movie.
Right.
And somebody, that's their skill, and probably could have been something I did if I'd stuck, or if I'd chosen a different fucking path. 4, I would say Fleetwood Mac. I love Fleetwood Mac, and I've always loved Fleetwood Mac from the time I was a little kid all the way to now. And I finally got to see them live, and it was the whole like real lineup. They'd just gotten Christy McVie back, and it was amazing. That was at the MGM Grand in Las
I
Vegas.
like Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, I can't think of anything they do that I don't like. I mean, some of Stevie Nicks' solo stuff gets really fucking like, I'm everybody's fairy godmother. She's weird as fuck. But
Yeah, but some of her solo shit is
some of it is
so
nails.
good.
Yeah. 3 would be Elton John.
Oh, nice
That's-
pull.
Thanks largely to my stepdad. We'd go out on the boat and Elton John would be playing. He'd have Elton John in the garage, which is funny because he's very manly dude, builds boats and fishes.
I don't know though, but Elton John has a way.
He does. He's got away with dudes.
He transcends.
You ever watch? Did you ever watch Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah.
That's a good.
We watched that, and then we
Movie,
went
just-
to see Elton John in concert, and my son was like upset because he was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want to
This isn't like.
And he started with Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, and Alex just sits up and he just
Immediately.
listens, and he's clapping when he's supposed to clap. It was amazing.
Dude, yeah.
2 would be Billy Joel.
Another good one.
Billy Joel. I can't name an album I don't know all the words to, and from, geez, even before I had my own stereo, I listened to a ton of Billy Joel. And number 1 is Jimmy Buffett.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
All your like you and my wife could get along well with
musically.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, and one time we were talking about music in the Army, and my boss at the time, she's like, wow, you just listen to old man music. And I was like, and I've listened to it my whole life. I mean, from vinyl all the way through CDs to digital.
When I was probably 4, somewhere between like 4 and 5, we lived in Medicine Lake, Montana, which is out in the very like eastern corner of Montana. And I remember still distinctly to this day getting one of our family friends had recorded me a cassette tape with it must have been whatever the album is with Uptown Girl. Mm-hmm. It was like, so because it was like 1983 or 4 or something like that. But recorded it on tape for me because I just wouldn't shut up about like wanting to have that song because we'd been over at their house. Mm-hmm. But he got me the whole album.
The video for that song is what really turned me on to Billy Joel because Christy Brinkley's
I was going to say, that was
Oh,
the one
yeah.
with Christy Brinkley, right?
And
Yeah.
Jesus, she probably started my love of blondes, like Linda Carter did of brunettes. Like, just they're one of those things. And I think I was probably 5 or 6 when that video came out, and I remember seeing it and just being like, "Yep,
Yeah.
yep." And then from there it was just an avalanche of Billy Joel, and God, some of those songs take me back to like almost like smells. Like you'll hear this song and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I was playing Dragon Warrior 4 when."
That's what I hoped
when
this
had
conversation would lead to. Was the songs are almost like being able to smell something to trigger your
Oh yeah,
takes you. It's basically like a time machine for.
Well, and almost all of my memories have a Jimmy Buffett song tied to them, even with my kids. Like his live performance of Southern Cross, and the CD came out in '99, so technically this does count as high school. He's got a live performance of Southern Cross, and Mara will get in the car and request it. I don't want this. I want Cross. I want Cross. And then sometimes she'll be like, I want Mustache, which follows it on the CD. And it's pencil thin Mustache. And it's fantastic. And going to his restaurants in Vegas and Hawaii and Florida, like just all of this stuff. You'd never guess I was a parrot head. Just by my general uptight.
No, I was definitely surprised because
wildly asshole nature.
My wife's and her stepdad is also a big Jimmy Buffett fan.
No shit.
Yeah,
I'll be damned.
And so it's probably she got it by extension just from being exposed to it when she was growing up. But
I remember getting Songs You Know by Heart. It's the one with the yellow cover and red Jimmy Buffett on the front.
Yeah.
And my uncle got it for me. And I was really kind of disappointed because I didn't. That was my introduction, and I was like, I don't know who this is, and he's like, it's going to change your life, and he was fucking right. And I mean, I've always listened to Jimmy Buffett from the time I was like 12, and so it really was like junior high on.
Wow.
And, I mean, up until there's a Jimmy Buffett CD in my car right now, like. It's crazy how much that has like tied my life in. Alex's favorite song was "Come Monday Forever," and now I think it's Margaritaville. But like my kids, it's just a huge part of who I am, and no one would guess it.
No,
by
not at all.
talking to me.
No.
That I know the words to every Jimmy Buffett song.
Right.
He's releasing one called Songs You Don't Know by Heart, and they did a really good job picking them because I only know 5 of them out of the 10 that are on the album.
Wow.
Yeah.
You might have enjoyed a Broadway show. We went to the play that was based on I think it was called Margaritaville.
Really?
You know who co-wrote it though was Mike O'Malley.
Shit, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's actually not terrible.
He is a man of multi-talents.
It's actually not too terrible. Mike O'Malley, if you don't remember who I'm talking about, he was one of the heavies in the Justified. He was like the bald guy.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he was the host of Nickelodeon's Guts.
Well, there is that.
Come on. With the hot British chick that was.
But he's a stand-up, right?
He's a comedian.
Yeah.
Like I said, he is a man of many, many talents.
Let me see if I recognize him.
Yeah, so he co-wrote that Broadway play, and then we went and saw it. And
he's had his hand in a lot of very diverse projects and some really important projects.
No
too.
shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
He wasn't a heavy. He was a boss.
well, I knew he was.
He was the one dude's son.
Yeah.
Alan Arkin played him, but or not Alan. Adam Arkin. Alan Arkin's kid.
Yeah, Adam.
Adam,
Yeah.
not Alan, or not. What was the second one I said? Whatever, it doesn't
Alan.
matter. I got the wrong Arkin.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
All right.
All right, let's hear Ron's.
No,
Do you have any
no,
honorable
see how much-
mentions?
No.
No.
I have. I guessed that we'd have 3 that overlapped, but I was wrong. We have 2. So go Ward, because then I'll
Okay.
circle back around.
So mine is much less dated than yours. And I wonder,
Mine all started in the 70s.
right? I wonder if mine really had to do with like the time period that I was growing up in, and I think part of it was this was the time, like a time period that we were running out buying CDs and shit as kids. And
See,
so
I just thought of two Billy Joel songs in that sentence. This is the time and Running on Ice. Just fucking.
that's crazy. I don't, and your ability to memorize song titles is great because I don't memorize
Oh, yeah.
any song titles,
And they're-
with
they're-
the exception of a few.
What's funny is
But
the
they're
first
commonly
2 songs on the
known
album,
ones.
The Bridge. Isn't that crazy? Running on Ice and This Is the Time are the first 2 songs on The Bridge.
Wow.
Fucking crazy. I love that album though.
So
Reminds me of Crash and the Boys Street Challenge.
That's a good one.
Rooftop jumping. To This Is the Time. Perfect.
I won't go in any particular order for the first 4, but then I'll end with my top. I'll throw out some honorable mentions real quick just to kind of get to wet the palate a little. Soundgarden
Nice.
doesn't hit rotation often now, but it's one of those ones like I could pluck a few songs from.
Fucking Chris Cornell is amazing.
Yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots. I'm just naming bands with dead people in them.
No shit.
But if you want to soundtrack, the Crow soundtrack was one of my
There you go.
big
that
go-to
would hit you
soundtracks
good.
from the day, because there was, I think it was, to name a song, I think it was "The Big Empty" by Stone Temple Pilots. That's one of the better songs that I remember, and I could never find it. I'm sure it was on an album, but I didn't have a lot of I didn't get every album for every artist usually.
Yeah.
Green Day.
Green Day
Oh, no,
hit
no.
everybody.
What's that?
I'm pretty sure Green Day hit everybody.
I wore out one of my CDs of Dookie.
Did you?
Yeah.
Dookie was one of my first CDs. Counting Crows was
Fuck, I love Counting
one of
Crows.
my first CDs, and the freshman album or whatever, the first album with the
August
yellow
and
writing
everything
on it.
after. Yeah, I was gonna say it's oddly enough. I fucking passionately hate Counting Crows, but I love that album.
That album,
whole album
Everything
is
else
good.
that they did not get me at all. I genuinely didn't like it, but that album is.
I don't think
so
I've heard
good.
any of their other albums.
So good.
that's what I'm saying.
But
Is
that,
that
one's
album?
Mr. Jones, Blue Buildings, Anna Begins, A Long December. Like, there's so much good on that album.
Long December's not on that one.
It's
Yeah, it
not?
is.
No.
Oh no! You're right. You're
No,
right.
That
You're
was
right.
a later one.
You're right.
Is
I've
Rain
listened-
King on that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that
And
song.
Round Here. Is
Yeah.
Round
I
Here.
believe the opening track on that
think it
album,
is.
if I remember
Even
correctly.
Mr. Jones is.
But,
Mr. Jones
yeah.
is on there.
No, that album is.
That's a tight album. And
Oh, fuck.
that's why I had honorable mentions, because there's some that didn't make my list.
I just thought of one that could probably take the 3 spot, actually.
Ruh-roh.
Caroline Spine.
So
Fucking amazing.
That was one of the ones that I figured we'd overlap.
How
on,
did I
actually.
not think of them? Because they haven't released anything forever, and I
They
haven't.
done anything in a long time.
I haven't listened to them forever, which is sad. Actually, Sullivan came on the radio the other day, and I sang it with the windows down, and people were looking at me funny.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Metallica got a constant rotation for a while.
Yeah. I didn't get into Metallica until after high school because Rick and Brett were way too into it. And there were a lot of things that I avoided because Rick and Brett were way too into them. Like Lord of the Rings, I never read it because Rick and Brett were so into Lord of the Rings. It was just creepy.
I see that with my kid, with one of my kids now. One of my kids is like really into the Marvel stuff. And so the other one is less into the Marvel stuff because one is just so into the Marvel stuff. Yeah. So he's just like, he's passive. Like he'll be like, cool, Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But my other one's like constantly talking my ear off about it.
Theories and fucking everything.
Yeah, all the videos and stuff. Last honorable mention, Cake.
What'd they do?
Oh, shit.
Long skirt, short jacket.
Yeah.
In fact, that
Going
song
the
reminds me of
Distance?
20
Going the distance. Yeah.
21-year-old.
That's a band I'll turn on and I'll play a whole album from.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get me in
They've
a
got
mood.
a sound.
Yeah.
Like a distinct sound.
Right.
I never knew that was Cake.
Oh.
Yeah. I know both those songs, but I never knew that was Cake. And that was how I was with almost all of my music
I'm that
kid.
way with a lot of stuff. So like stuff will come up now and I'm like, I know this song. I like this song. Another honorable mention because they never really had much impact on me at the time, but I discovered them later in life was Beastie Boys. I liked, but I'd heard a lot of their stuff when I was growing up, but just never really made the connection.
Yeah, that's how I was with most stuff. Like, I love tons of 80s music, and I know all of the words to them, but I couldn't tell you who sang
because you heard it on the radio.
Yeah. And a lot of those
and Recall
glam slam bands sound exactly the same.
Right.
Guns N' Roses to fucking Poison to...
So one of my
I
actual...
always had such a hard time differentiating between like Poison, Motley Crue, Rat. Like there was
all of those dudes with all of that hairspray.
They looked so similar and they sounded so similar that a lot of them wound up just kind of blurring together.
They all looked like they were stuck in the Star Child.
I couldn't get into
position.
any of those fucking hair bands.
Oh man,
there's so much good there.
I have a little bit of an affinity for some hair bands.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so my real. Here's one that fell off the radar that I remember listening to, but I rarely go back to is Collective Soul.
Yeah. I remember they had
because they had like one or two decent-ish albums, but then after that there wasn't much of anything, and then they kind of faded. And so I didn't have a reason to keep on re-exploring them.
Yeah.
I like a little bit of their stuff. I don't hate them, but their lead singer suffers from what I guess I would call Scott Stapp syndrome, where he wants to sound maybe different than what I think his actual voice
what he
might
should be. Like Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks is the opposite.
I always go back to...
He sounds like country, so he went country, but he wanted to be a rock and roller.
If you listen to, like for Collective Soul, for example, if you listen to a song like Shine, he sings pretty much through the song. But then if you skip to Where the River Flows...
Where the river flows.
Where the river flows. Like, he sounds like he's putting on something.
Right.
When people aren't themselves,
that didn't work.
Really
that didn't work for me.
But you know what, though?
But it was Scott Stapp, the dude from Creed, was the one that always stuck out the most.
I'm ashamed to say I had
there is no way you really sound like that. Knock it off.
I had a small window of time in my life where Nickelback entered my...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you know.
I don't think I could name a Nickelback song. I could probably sing 7 or 8 of them.
Some, but I...
It snuck in. No, I don't want to name any because then that makes me worse. No, it just snuck in. It snuck in for probably and then as soon as like my dad was like, "Oh, and I like Nickelback," I'm like, "Oh, okay."
You know, it's really funny because you mentioned Caroline Spine, and one of the ways that back in the day, they both have that very radio-friendly Canadian rock modern sound. Mm-hmm. They both do. And I would literally introduce people to Caroline Spine by saying, you know how Nickelback sounds? Yeah. Well, imagine if Nickelback made good music.
Yeah, because every one of those dudes was on point.
This is how I introduce people to Caroline Spines.
Like they were a Tool quality band.
Oh,
those
super
those
talented.
people were
Super
all
talented.
good. The drummer was on point,
but
guitars were money.
Yeah, that's funny because I was like, yeah, no. Imagine do you like Nickelback? You like Nickelback? Well, then you're gonna love this because it's like that but good.
Yeah, this doesn't suck.
All right. So here's my for real list. First concert I'd ever been to, also, by the way, Pearl Jam.
Nice,
yeah.
And I discovered Pearl Jam probably sophomore year in high school.
I liked a lot of their songs, but I didn't.
I wasn't aware of
Pearl
who they
Jam.
were. And then I went down a rabbit hole for a while and started gobbling up stuff. But if I discover a band later, I try to end up grabbing like best of compilations because I maybe don't like everything, but but there's stuff that I'll listen to a whole album for. One of those would be Silverchair.
Nice.
They're both their first album, or Frog Stomp and Freak Show, are two of my favorite go-to albums.
Frog Stomp was a good album.
Those were, and those kids, those guys were fucking young.
Well, I was going to say, you're right to say kids, because they were literally kids.
They were like 15, 16 years old when they got started.
No shit.
Yeah, Frog Stomp was like, they were just kids.
Some Hanson shit.
They did.
Not gay.
God, what's the name of that fucking song? I'm blanking on it. Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
They were in high school when they wrote that song.
Yeah. No, it's good. It was fun shit. I remember my dad coming out one time and I was listening to it like on my boombox out in the driveway shooting baskets.
Was it a JVC Kaboom box?
No, I had a Sony.
Wow.
I had it out there with extension cord running from our shop to the driveway, playing it on a CD. And there was, I think the song was Freak from their Freak Show album. And so my dad comes out and he's like, Frey, I'm just making fun of it. And I'm like, shut up.
Shut up, old man.
But
you don't understand me. Yeah. You don't understand my music. Fuck you. I love it.
Everclear was another one that I really got into. As far as his the career's gone, Alexakis. How do you pronounce? I don't know how to.
I don't know.
Do you even know Everclear?
Yeah, I don't like them.
You don't like them, huh?
I don't know anything about them.
No. All their songs sound the same.
There's probably a couple that I would.
Yeah. Whoa.
They had one on American Pie.
You're thinking of the Everclear that came out, songs for an American movie.
No,
but their
go
first
back and listen to Santa Monica. It still sounds the same.
They're a little grittier though in their first album than they were, and
they
had some standout songs. Everclear was my.
I respectfully disagree, but. Hey man, you're gonna wait until you hear my list. People are about to learn a whole lot about Ron. So
it's gonna be ICP, isn't it?
Honorable mention, man. They were not enough to make the top 5, but they are absolutely an honorable mention.
You had a Juggalo phase,
yeah,
and it was awesome. Those I don't care. That shit holds up.
It is.
It's so fun.
Sorry, it's okay. I'll get to my affinity for ICP when we get to
the fun thing about Everclear is no original band member except for Art remains in the band. We went to a concert.
Oh no shit!
There's a lot of
a few years ago. Yeah, I know, but he is like desperate to hold on to that thing. But he also, I think he has MS now too.
Oh, that's too bad.
But we went and saw him at the Coeur d'Alene Casino a few years ago. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a bad show. We saw him with Fastball and Vertical Horizon.
God, they had some good shit.
Yeah, when we went to that, after we went to that concert, my wife hadn't really heard much Fastball.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, our playlist just started filling up with Fastball.
Yeah.
And
they got some good stuff.
Yeah, not bad music at all. They were one I was surprised only was one hit wonder, really. 'Cause-
Yeah,
Was The Way the only one they had?
Yeah.
Didn't
they're
they?
still.
one
I
other?
think so.
No, they had a few other ones that were
Did they?
known on that were popular on that album, but not.
I only ever knew of The Way.
I love that song.
Oh,
Good groovy guitar.
Great video.
they were
Love
fun
the
to watch.
guitar.
They were fun to watch
Yeah.
in concert. Third Eye Blind. This was my freshman year of college when I kind of picked this band up, and so it was one of those ones that, and their whole album is honestly like I can listen to that from front to end because I would just play it from front to end as a kid when I was like 19, 20.
Third Eye Blind reminds me of cleaning Rick's bedroom.
It reminds me of Rick.
I mean,
Because you just play it and be
Driving
cleaning.
to-
that was
driving
what
to
he would
Coeur
be
d'Alene
playing
with
in the
Rick.
bedroom while we were cleaning, trying to get done with the fucking stupid shit that we had to do so we could do something fun.
That's funny. Well, that's what it is. It's like like you said, the smell thing.
Yeah, no,
Because that was-
and that's kind of what I tried to go with
When I need
For
to
the
get
most
in a
part,
when I need to get in the mode
for my list.
Yeah,
That was what I was things that like. Does it have a story? Is there a triggering thing to it? That
does
was
it put
kinda
you
what
in
I
an
tried-
upbeat mood, or does it? Yeah,
that was kind of the path that I tried to go down with it. Outside of the stuff that's just my genuine favorite, but
And now here is this is my number one, and that's Weezer, and Weezer's one that I've just because I've followed them from the beginning. I've been ride or die, as the Matt Damon SNL skit goes.
yeah.
There's not really any music that they do that I have a problem with. Like, I know there's some real like purists about like, oh, Pinkerton was their best album. I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
I just enjoy listening to their music, and I can listen to like,
Their rendition with Weird Al of Africa is one of Mara's favorite songs.
oh, it's good.
She's like, I want Africa. No, not that one. Not the one with Kristen Bell. I want the one with Weird Al. And she just loves it.
Weezer
Just
always
loves
had
it.
a very muzak quality to me, in that it was something that you could. I'm admittedly I'm not a huge fan. But
There's nothing offensive
there's
about
nothing offensive. It could always be going in the background. You're never gonna hear it come on and be like, oh fuck this.
it. Yeah.
Like,
I get that.
That was one of the things that I did like about them. But it was.
Well, and there are
They
songs,
weren't
and
something
there
that
is
resonated
stuff
with me all that big.
that sounds like you can pick up on. Like, is this song? This sounds like this song that they did. So they do have some of the same. Like, they repeat some of the same, I guess, chord progressions and shit like that. But when you've amassed the library that they have over the past 20-some years, 26 years,
Yeah.
and you have a kind of a niche you fit into, you're going to probably hit some of those same
Oh yeah. Yeah.
same beats here and there. But and then there was a whole thing about like Rivers actually has like a formula for creating popular songs. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
I've heard
We've talked
of
about it before.
similar things.
Yeah.
That there's science to it, but I don't know that I know his.
I don't understand it.
specifically,
But-
It's the same as selling a movie script.
yeah,
There's a formula
ebbs
to
and
it that you
flows
will
and
get.
how the- yeah.
This is how you get a studio to purchase
yeah.
a script.
yeah.
Whether they shoot it or not is completely irrelevant because they'll buy it from you if it fits. And if it doesn't fit that pattern, they won't even look at it. And
Yeah.
but there's a book from like the late 60s that they followed that is like how to write a hit song, and they follow it.
If you do these things specifically, very specifically,
Right, it's like a recipe basically.
yeah,
like
it's like science.
It's
Well,
like,
and-
well,
really is.
or
It's-
like
it
and
really
a movie
is like
has
science.
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. A song is similar in that it has.
Well, and Hook
Yeah,
by
but
Blues
not-
Traveler is
not-
almost a musical rendition of
it is. It's a really
like-
great example
and he's
of it.
talking
He's
about
explaining it the
I
whole
can-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I say.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the first line
And
of the song.
It doesn't matter what I say, and it doesn't matter who you are. And yeah,
Yeah,
there's
the hook will always bring you back.
that's a great song.
It
too.
is.
It's a really, really great song.
Yeah, Alex and I listened to it this weekend. That's why it was at the top of my head.
But no,
and
that's...
he's like, "That's really good." And I was like, and he's talking about how he can say anything, and you will like the song. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal
because of how catchy it is.
Yeah,
and that's it. Like you said, you use the word recipe, and I was having a conversation with, I think it was Matthew the other day. It might have been with Tori, I don't remember, but we were talking about food, and again, cooking,
two
recipes,
totally different
food.
People.
It's just science. They don't just tell you what order to put the ingredients in because they fucking feel like it.
You watch
there
that
are chemical
YouTube channel?
reactions that occur in the food as you put them together
Right.
in that order. The music writing, the script writing, all that stuff, it's the exact same thing. It's an actual recipe, and if you follow it specifically,
Yeah,
it will work.
they say
because we live in a simulation.
They say do this and then
There
do
are
this,
fucking
this, and
rules.
this, but they don't say put the eggs, yeast, milk, and flour in all at the same time and mix it up. It'll be good.
Yeah.
No, you have to let the yeast
Because
activate
there's
and all this
chemical reactions. And there's a YouTube channel where they do 4 levels of cook, and the first one's a amateur, regular. I cook in my kitchen. The middle one is a private chef. The other one works in a professional restaurant. The last one's a food scientist, and the 3 cook the same thing or their version of the thing, and then the food scientist breaks down why this one was good and this one was trash, or it just breaks down like, oh, when you melt cheese at a certain, or you can't put these cheeses in with these cheeses because the melting temperature is totally different. Like, it's very fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'll find one and put it in the chat because there's a couple that are really, really cool.
Yeah, put it in the chat and then I'll put it in the show notes.
There you go. Fantastic.
Put it in your show notes.
I'll put it in your show notes. Right there. Ho!
What do you got, Ron?
So, well, first off, Tori is, I don't think she's watching. I think she's listening because she's on a whole other aside. She's out at the casino right now trying to win me money because I have this little scheme that I'm putting together to start my movie career.
There you go.
But
Does it involve cocaine and strippers?
That's putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, I can't.
I gotta get further along before
until
I
you
can
get to
that.
cocaine
No,
and strippers.
no. But
that'll be about...
so for starters, she messaged me. That's who I was looking at my phone, and I asked to relay along the message that she says apparently she should marry you instead of me because, for one, Ward is describing everything that I like music-wise, and for 2, fucking ICP, really?
Fucking really, Tori.
And so, yeah.
It's
so
awesome.
we're going to start there in the honorable mentions with ICP.
Malenko.
I was introduced to ICP by the guy that I used to buy pot from. And he was a cousin of a really good friend of mine. And I was, at the time that I first listened to it, I was just really starting to get into like rap and hip hop in general. I want
to break in real quick. He used to memorize like Busta Rhymes songs and fucking just nail them. It was amazing. Like Bombs Over Baghdad.
I was gonna say there's several from like Outkast and Notorious B.I.G. and Bone Thugs and Busta Rhymes and Tupac and Snoop Dogg. Like there's a lot. I went through a stage, like I said, that I loved the music. I got in on it. You mentioned Beastie Boys. They were one who kind of got me in.
Some foot in the door.
Sugar Hill Gang. Oh goddamn, what's their name? Can't think of their name right now, and I'm really embarrassed. Tribe Called Quest. That's what I was thinking of. And Wu-Tang Clan. And I started all around that time. I was getting into rap and hip hop in the first place because I had started to notice that if I knew what the words were, I could rap as fast as they could. I just needed to actually memorize the words, but I could make my mouth move intelligibly fast enough to do that shit.
Did you ever do? What about Bloodhound Gang?
Bloodhound Gang is my second honorable mention.
One Fierce Beer Coaster.
Hooray for Boobies. One Fierce Beer Coaster. I know all of those albums from front to
Ballad to
back.
Chase
I
All of
can't.
their
I
songs.
can't. Yeah, I sing. I sing to One Fierce.
Find a new vagina.
vagina.
Yeah,
I sing along to One Fierce Beer Coaster. That was one of my
Kiss Me Where It
early
Smells Funny.
albums. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff in that album.
drums in that album,
would not
or
help.
the drums in that
that
song?
album would get canceled.
Oh, so hard.
I wish
So-
I was gay so I could get chicks.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's,
I just wish, and it's not gay, it's queer.
or yeah.
No, they're actually, it's funny. They're my second honorable mention because they fall into that same category. And I was introduced to One Fierce Beer Coaster.
Yeah, they could be an honorable mention for me, I'd
around
say.
the time that I was introduced to ICP. But
because it was a guilty pleasure.
I also was really into. I grew up listening to a lot of like Ray Stevens and Dr. Demento and a lot of genuine like comedy music that wasn't just comedy. It was actually music, but it was genuinely funny. And then ICP was like
They might be
both of
giants.
those things together.
And just so absurd.
Cranked way past 11.
yeah.
And those
And-
people are the kindest people in the world. I've never met a juggalo I dislike.
They're like Harley people, man. They're like this.
Yeah. And if you can
it is a
speak juggalo, we've
brotherhood.
talked about this on the show. If
Yeah,
you
I
can
talked
speak
about getting
juggalo-
extra
juggalo-
tips from my juggalo clientele when I worked at Canna, because
Yeah.
I'd be like whoop whoop, and that was it. That got you an extra $2.
No, I had a supply guy that was probably one of the stupidest people I've ever met. Like, wow, like borderline retarded. And he was a juggalo, and he used to hook me up with shit all the time. And he was good at his job, but he just was not intelligent.
Yeah.
But he was, I mean, he'd give you the shirt off his back if he thought you were a juggalo.
They
Whoop whoop.
they had a tremendous amount of production in their albums, whether it be an entire song that was built to sound like it was a 4-minute song, but it was structured as though it were a game show, and like the first set of the song would be like contestant number 1, and then the second set, but it still flowed like an actual song.
Yeah.
And it was, I will still hold to it, as terrible as their music is. And
It's not, though.
it's
Like, their
there is-
rendition
there
of
is
Let's
a-
Go All the Way is fantastic.
there's a genuine level of skill in a lot of the stuff that they did.
Violent J was, he could have been
and,
a singer.
Their, like I said, the production of it, their albums, as a lot of hip hop albums in the 90s did, they had these little vignettes in the middle of the albums that were like done like commercials and stuff. And I still have the majority of it memorized, because it was about going to the Player Haters Academy to get your degree in player hating or something like that.
I got my
And
player
it was-
haters degree.
It was all about learning to be a player hater, but it was done to sound like you were listening to an infomercial. And it was like,
Bitch, I may be dumb, but at least I ain't got no money.
yeah, learn.
Like-
That's one of them. It's there's the learn these techniques, like the look shaker. Yeah, man, fuck that fine ass bitch. We don't need her. Like, and the ever popular shooting star, and then a guy chimes in. He's like, yeah, just because he's got a nice car, he wants to be driving that bitch all the time. And yeah, get your education on player Haitian. And they had one that was a commercial for Faygo, which is an off-brand like Shasta soda.
I sing that
And-
all the time.
Send your mama straight up to the stove. Tell that bitch to bring home a Faygo. And it was hysterical. And so anyway, but going less from the comedy, more to the actual musical talent, Bloodhound Gang was another one where it was like, it was funny, it was music. It actually, like, I considered it music. There was skill there.
Yeah.
And it was, again, more of kind of borderline saying things that you couldn't believe they were saying, stuff that would definitely get you canceled.
Well, like I said, it was a guilty pleasure. It wasn't an album I would always be like, hey, check out what I'm listening to.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It was one of those ones
Yeah.
where it's like, I'm going to listen to this one in private.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to this because I love this.
but,
This hits me right in there. Just do it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
So
Yeah.
I'm with you, Ward. I'm only doing my number one. The other ones I can't really I could break them down, but I'm not going to because two of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't rank them. I would just say land at one.
Gloss over because they were the two that we overlapped on. Fleetwood Mac was one I didn't actually think of, but
there's so much good there.
Fleetwood Mac, for one, I'm with you. They're a band that I really struggle to think of anything they've done that I don't like, and there's the personal memory to it. My mom, Fleetwood Mac always reminds me of my mom. Because when my mom was cleaning, when my mom was cooking, anything my mom was doing around the house, 9 times out of 10, Fleetwood Mac was playing.
Stevie Nicks was singing.
And so it has a lot of really fond memories from my childhood.
When my parents bought their very first 6 CD changer, Fleetwood Mac album was an album they purchased. And you got to remember at the time, CDs were like $15.
Yeah. And 15
even old albums.
Yeah.
And so and they were just releasing like old shit initially.
Yeah.
And so they got Fleetwood Mac,
second or third buy,
Eagles.
I listened to a lot of Eagles.
And Creedence Clearwater Revival were the first 3 albums they picked up. Then they started they played 8 tracks when I was a kid, and some of the stuff my dad had Ringo Starr and
I was in the Army with a dude whose dad played in Ringo's band.
Really?
Probably still does. He plays saxophone in Ringo's band. Ringo's all-star band. I can't fuck that up.
Excuse me.
There were some good, and I couldn't remember what the Roseanne Cash was part of their rotation on the 8-track player. I can't remember the names of the songs, but she's Johnny Cash's daughter.
Yeah.
There's that. Excuse me. Before I forget, while we're in the kind of the country vein, one of my other honorable mentions would be Dwight Yoakam.
Loved Dwight Yoakam as a kid. I didn't listen to a lot of country as a kid, but he was one that
one that I will play,
and
most of that shit.
You'll understand why when I get to number 1. But yeah, so Fleetwood Mac we overlap on because of all the great music. For 2, it really reminds me of my mom and being a kid. There's a lot of memories of playing Nintendo in the living room while mom was vacuuming and all that kind of shit.
Back to Bloodhound Gang for just a second. Yeah. Were you weren't done with Bloodhound Gang, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we move on, which song is it that Rob Vanilla Ice comes into play?
Boom. I know that song.
Great song,
start to finish.
Boom.
Stop as drop this bomb, blow up this place like another Vietnam.
Heavy like a Tyson, blow to the dome.
Back up, son, give me room. Give
me room.
That song fucking slaps. It's a good song.
But at the time you listened to that, Vanilla Ice was already considered washed out.
Oh yeah, he was way past being.
So
cool.
It was like they were throwing him a bone. But again, remember this was 1996. Vanilla Ice was still relevant in 1991. Mm-hmm. So the washout period was much shorter.
Oh yeah. It was pretty much the week
that it is
Cool as Ice came out.
Right.
And it was done. All your goodwill is gone.
Exactly.
No, that's honestly that's one of my favorite songs of theirs. That song is
I like
really
it.
because it's not even really all that much in the terms of funny, Kiss Me Where It Smells Funny, or
I like Asleep at the Wheel too.
Funny every time
for the same reason.
It's a really it's a pretty just straight up song.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of joking around to it.
It's what made Eminem accessible for me by the time Eminem
I can
came
see
around.
that. I can totally see that.
And so I was like, oh, who's this now?
I can totally see that.
But I discovered Eminem late too.
Oh, really?
He'd probably made 3 albums by the time I picked anything up from him.
Oh man. Also the overlap, and it's because of you, Billy Joel, obviously. Yeah. The way that I said Third Eye Blind reminds me of cleaning in Rick's room. Billy Joel reminds me of the majority of my childhood. Because
sleeping in my room
90% of the time on the weekends, well, not 90% of the time, but probably a good 50-60% of the time, I would go out and stay with Rick and Chris at their mom's house.
Right.
And I typically slept in Chris's room, 1, because there was more room, it was more comfortable, and 2, sorry Rick, he listened to good music when you're going.
Well, yeah.
Love you, bro. But
I knocked motherfuckers out with my tunes.
Turning on Billy
At
Joel
least
and
there's
stuff
no
was more my
like
speed.
Josh Duggar shit that you can tie your memories to. Where
Right.
it's like, that's the one I got raped
But
to.
yeah, Billy Joel was. It's one that I can't really add anything outside of what you already said, but it didn't even have as profound of an effect on me as it did on you.
Yeah.
But it was a really big part of my childhood in general. Also,
When
so
we spent the time memorizing We Didn't Start the Fire, like that sort of shit.
yeah,
That whole Stormfront album is tits.
dude, it's a really good album. So we got the Billy Joel and the Fleetwood Mac, which are the two overlappers. Rush.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
For one, it was really the very first time that I listened to Rush was on the radio, and my stepdad Jim turned it off because he doesn't like Geddy Lee's voice.
Really?
And it was one of the first times that Rush was one of the first bands I ever found that I didn't seem to be able to find anybody else who liked.
Yeah, I didn't get into Rush until I was like 23.
Because I didn't meet Dustin until I was, close to graduating high school.
Yeah.
And I had already listened to Rush, by then because
Rush is what I
found
couldn't
them in,
couldn't
junior
name.
high. But they were one of the first ones.
Sawyer.
I remember Jim turning it off because he still talks basically the same way about him. I don't understand how people can listen to that fucking guy sing. and I'm over here, listening to the vocals, but the thing that hooked me the most about them immediately was the drums and Neil Peart. And I was like, I don't even care. He could sound worse than he sounds. And I like Geddy Lee's voice personally. It's very unique, but it's not for everybody.
Sure.
But for one, they're another band. Everybody on my list is a band that I can listen to anything they've done. There are some albums that are more consistently solid than others, but there's not really anything that I can think of that they've done that I'm just like, skip that one.
Of my list, I feel the same way you do.
Yeah.
There's not really even my honorable mention. Even my honorable mention list doesn't really have a lot of
Yeah.
songs in the catalog that I wouldn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not be my favorite song, but I'm not going to hit skip.
Yeah. But for one, again, can't say enough about how much I love the music. But for two, the thing that they really stuck with on me was, like I said, they were one of the first bands that I had ever really got into that I struggled to find other people that were into it as well. So it had this kind of, it's mine.
Yeah.
Feeling to, even though it wasn't, because Rush was fucking huge. But for people that were my age and the people that I was around, there wasn't a huge wealth of people to talk Rush with.
Right.
Tool.
Yeah, I didn't get into Tool until after high school.
I discovered
Tool though.
I discovered Tool. It was I guess it probably would have been like the week that Anima came out. Because, and again, it has a really great story to it. The reason that I found Tool was because my stepdad was working at Bennett Lumber at the time. And a guy that he worked with, Z-Rock, got copies of Anima to give out for like contest stuff, promotional shit. And he won one. And he had not really listened to Tool. He wasn't familiar. I wasn't familiar at all. I'd never heard Prison Sex, so I didn't know. Hadn't heard them.
Yeah.
I may have, but I didn't know. It didn't resonate with me or anything like that. And he was telling him about on Anima. There's this song that's called like Die Eier von Satan or something like
Where he
that.
reads the
a
chocolate
German
chip
where he reads the chocolate
cookie.
cake
Chocolate cake recipe.
It's like a 2-minute little thing. It's not even a song. And a dude reads a recipe for like a chocolate cake or a German chocolate cake or something like that. But it's done to like, it reminds me a lot of The Wall. it has this really Naziist militaristic sound to it. There's like marching and
he reads it in German.
And he
So
reads
it's
it in
like-
and he reads it in German, and he sounds like he's giving a Hitler speech basically, but it's just him reciting how to make a chocolate cake.
Sieten keinen Eier.
And then like there's a roar of the crowd after he tells you to bake it for 15 minutes.
It's fucking crazy.
It's really interesting. And so the dude that worked with Jim was telling him about it. He was like, I got this album that I won from Z-Rock and da-da-da. And he's telling him about this song specifically. And he sent it home with Jim to borrow it. He was like, the album's pretty good too, but blah, blah, blah. This was the thing he was telling him about. So the first thing that I ever heard about Tool was about this little 2-minute thing that wasn't even their fucking music. It wasn't the song. And Jim is like, yeah, it's telling me about it. And I was like, that sounds interesting. I want to hear it. And he's like, yeah, but I don't know what. He didn't tell him what song it was. He just told him, yeah, there's this little thing on the album where they do this. So I just put it in the CD and pushed play to get through the CD to find out where this thing was.
And Eulogy's on that one, right?
Stinkfist is the first song.
Yeah, Stinkfist and Eulogy.
Yeah.
It's fucking
and
great.
I was, boom, sold. Like, where can I get all of their music? And they're still, to this day, I've seen them in concert more than any other two bands combined. They're in terms of contemporary music, they're my favorite band.
The year
of people that are all still alive and performing and all that stuff, they're still my favorite band.
The year that Lateralis came out was the first concert I'd been to the only concert I've been to for Tool. But I went with your brother.
Yeah.
No shit. You went with Rick?
Yeah, because I went with
I think I was.
Matthias.
Oh, I was there too.
Mm-hmm.
Were you?
Yeah.
So was I.
We were both there.
Yeah.
All three of us were there.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We were at that show.
I've been to 3 Tool shows, and all of them have been with Rick.
Well, see, I only knew Matt and Rick well enough at the time because Rick would be over at Matt's house and I'd be over at Matt's house.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I
only went over,
I don't
well,
even
it
remember
was-
meeting you.
It was Joe's house.
You knew me.
It was Beef.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
it was
Joe's
Beef's
house.
Yeah.
place. And yeah,
I'd only
went over
seen
there
you over
2 or
there
3
a
times.
couple times. Yeah.
I was over there a handful.
So the couple times I talked to you when we were younger was over at Rick's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even remember.
Yeah. Same.
Ron got
Crossing
his minor
paths
in
with you.
possession. at
Yeah,
Beef's
I
house.
got an MIP at Beef's house.
You weren't there that time, I don't think.
No.
I wasn't there that time.
So
But yeah, that was
in no particular order. No, yeah, that's funny. We were at that show,
we were in the same
that
grouping
was
together. But I just
my-
didn't. I knew there was other people there.
That was my.
But I knew
first,
Matt
that was
and
my
I knew
first
Rick.
Tool show. Actually,
Mine too.
That was my first Tool show.
It was my first.
remember
I
when
saw
we
him,
went in Boston?
I saw him there. Then I saw him in Boston. Then I saw him in Spokane again.
Fucking third row in
yeah,
Boston.
that was
awesome.
a thing.
And thanks, Aunt Lori.
Yeah, and
She
fucking
got those tickets from
Mike
her friend.
Patton, the dude from Faith No More, was the front man for the band that opened. for him.
Tomahawk?
Tomahawk.
Yeah. That was some wild
It was
shit too.
It was great. It was a great concert. So yeah, Billy Joel, Fleetwood Mac, Rush, Tool, no particular order, but number one, unequivocally, it's not a fucking discussion. Led Zeppelin, hands down.
See, I avoided them because Rick and Brett liked him too much.
I
Zeppelin, Metallica. Lord
Is
of the
that
Rings.
fall into the hair band?
No.
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 And the
They're
thing,
British
the
Oh,
there's-
yeah. Okay.
So you mentioned
See, I didn't follow him super closely.
You mentioned Dwight Yoakam earlier, and I can tack on an honorable mention for Big Wreck with
Fuck
this
yeah.
as well.
I'm so glad we got to see
yeah,
them.
that was
Right before
that
the
was
pandy.
That was a bucket list thing for me.
Fuck yeah.
But for one of the things that really always was a big deal for me I didn't realize how into it I was until I really started to like pay attention to it. Like you said, a lot of the music that I really got into, I didn't get more into until I was a little bit older because I started to kind of analyze it a little bit. Well, what is it? There are patterns and things that
You
I
get
like.
that college thought process, whether you're in college or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
You get that thought process of really
little
digging
more
into
analytical.
what it is.
Yeah, and one of my best go-to examples is "Since I've Been Loving You," the Zeppelin song. But Zeppelin had that. They had a good hard rocky British rocky sound. A lot of similarities with other stuff that came out then, like the Stones and whatnot. But they had such a heavy blues feel
Yeah.
to them that Jimmy Page can make a guitar wail like very, very few people can.
Yeah.
And that
Frampton
was what I
could.
liked about Dwight Yoakam was that twangy, waily, and his was more of a bluegrassy feel as opposed to a blues feel, but it still had that.
Right. When he
that
gets
really,
that's what sells me is when he gets into those real
when the guitar it sounds like sniffing my own farts, but when the guitar actually sounds like it's singing, like Since I've Been Loving You is a good example of that. The guitar solo towards the end of that song sounds like the guitar is singing. It's
Like,
just so.
Feel Like I Do. That's Peter Frampton, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. When he makes it talk.
Yeah, that's even taking it a step further. But and Big Wreck has that too, of just like that wailing.
It grabs your fucking
screaming
soul.
guitar.
There's some shit that Big Wreck does
Yeah.
that really
Yeah.
grabs you. But
And-
again, that wasn't until after I was 20.
Yeah, see, I
When I
didn't
moved back to-
find Big Wreck until
Rick found him. That's how I found him.
well,
90% of the
in
stuff
loving in loving memory of came out in like 2000, 99.
Yeah.
Right
'Cause
around there?
It was after I moved back from Boston.
Yeah,
that Rick
like
found them.
I just first discovered them when I was in high school. I didn't even start deep diving into their music until I was, in my mid 20s.
Yeah. Well, like my favorite band isn't even on my list.
Yeah,
Dave Matthews Band is my fucking favorite.
yeah,
And I'll listen to him any album all the way to now.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of my one that was my own thing
yeah.
because nobody else liked him.
I liked them, but not anywhere near to the level that you did.
Yeah, because
do.
I've seen them as much as I've seen Tool.
Crash
live.
is such a good song.
It is.
Which
That
band
whole
is that?
album, Dave Matthews.
But-
I don't. I liked Dave Matthews when they first came out, and then I kind of like slowly moved away.
Yeah.
Every Day turned a lot of people off
Yeah, I did.
as an album.
I
But then, like,
I wasn't a big fan.
I don't know. I don't think I've disliked anything they put out.
One of the things that puts
What about Satellite?
No, that's the only one I can remember from high school.
You like that one?
Yeah.
I that was one that bothered me.
Zeppelin has a song for not. There's not any kind of like one specific real memories that are tied to any of them, except for one, which is a really fun story. Their moods. They have a song for whatever mood I'm in. If I'm feeling upbeat and ready to clean the house, if I'm feeling melancholy and all up in my head, if I'm feeling angry and need to fucking go chop some wood and vent some frustration or whatever, like they cover the whole gamut.
Yeah.
And I don't really ever get tired of their music. Like the closest of their songs that I would say is one that I might be like, I'll skip it this time, would be Stairway to Heaven. And it's just because I've heard it
So many times.
Many times.
It's not even that long.
It's 8 minutes long,
Yeah. Like,
which is not super long in comparison to some of their stuff, but that's one of the ones that I'll get to is
Tool's that way too, though.
Yeah,
They have some
Tool's-
fucking long ass shit.
Tool is that way too. In My Time of Dying, which is not even a song that they wrote, it's a song that they like. It's an old, like Southern gospel-y hymn type song that they repurposed as a blues rock song, and it's like 13 minutes long, and it's just basically 13 minutes of Robert Plant wailing, the guitar wailing, and some really, really, really good drums. Like there's not even all that much bass in it, but I was like borderline blackout drunk many, many, many years ago with my stepbrother, and we were hanging out at a friend's house, and somebody made a comment about we were putting on music, and somebody went to put on Zeppelin, and they were like, play this, or somebody said, play it. And I was like, no. Have you ever heard this song? And they're like, no. And I was like, have you ever heard it? And they're like, no. And I was like, if you've never heard this song and you actually like Led Zeppelin, we should play this. And I played In My Time of Dying for them, and it was like showing somebody Jesus for the first time. Like the song ended and they were both just like stunned. Just like, how do I like Led Zeppelin and I've never heard this song? And I was like, I don't know, but it's one of their best songs.
Huh.
Yeah, Zeppelin is so, I sing it to my kid and have for their whole life. I sing Going to California to my kids all the time. Gallows Pole is another one that Annabelle sings with me like every night. Not so much anymore because she's older, but yeah, it's Zeppelin is like a part of my life in so many instrumental ways.
Oh, same way Jimmy Buffett is
yeah,
to me.
yeah, same.
Like it's just
it pervades into so many different aspects of my life.
Yeah.
And informs a lot of my appreciation for a lot of other stuff. Like I said, it wasn't until I really started paying attention to like I like the White Stripes. I really admire Jack White, especially for like his musical talent and what he does. But a lot of their music is not music that I love.
Some of it I love in the car.
Yeah, it's good. It's good driving
It's
music.
good car
It's
music.
good car music. But some of it's really too experimental for me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
Seven Nation Army just hits me.
Yeah, dude.
I love that. It just the way it drives.
And
Yeah, driving music.
there's a documentary that I watched all about guitar and guitar sound and guitar theory and stuff like that. It's called It Might Get Loud, and it's Jack White, Jimmy Page, and The Edge from U2. And it's just the three of them basically like playing guitar together and waxing philosophical about guitar, and it's really, really cool if you're into their music or the sound of guitar. But at the beginning of it, while the credits are rolling, just to establish, you see the credits and blah blah blah, and like it's intercut with three different things, and it's like Jimmy Page is riding in the back of a car on the way to where they're going to shoot the thing, and the Edge is arriving in an airport and getting off his plane, and Jack White's already there, and he just takes a fucking little board, like a little 2x4 that he pulls off of a portion of a fence and sets it down on a table and puts like a little glass jar on it and hammers down a couple nails with some wires that he attaches to him, and he makes a guitar out of just like a piece of wood, a glass jar, and 3 pieces of piano string.
Fuck.
That he actually plays and like makes music out of, not just like blink, 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 blink. And that was what initially gave me my appreciation for. That was where I first started actually listening to the White Stripes, was because the only thing I'd ever heard was Seven Nation Army. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, this song is awesome, but eh. And then I saw that and I was like, whoa, this guy's got some, okay. And so then I listened to a little bit more of their music and gained a lot more of an appreciation for it. And like that's, like I said, the thing about Zeppelin is so much of their music informs what I like about other music.
Right.
My love of ladies like Whitney Houston and Diana Ross and all Adele, these ladies that Lady Gaga, that can like sing, like they don't even seem like it's fucking human. They can sing so well. Well, that was Robert Plant. Robert Plant could fucking scream like a god.
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
And a parallel thought, like Weezer does that in that, like, I've been to, well, I'm going to Weezer again this summer. We're going to, it was supposed to be last summer, but we're going to Hella Mega Tour with Weezer, Green Day, and Fall Out Boy.
oh, nice.
I saw Fall Out Boy.
Nice.
With Wiz Khalifa.
Oh, with
Really?
Two shitty bands.
Really?
Yeah, it was fun. First time my son got high. The whole Wiz Khalifa came out and the whole fucking audience sparked up. Alex is eating popcorn and he's like, "This is the best popcorn I've ever had, Dad." And I was like, "I know exactly why. It's the best popcorn you'll ever have."
When Weezer does a show, they put on a show, especially if they do it at like, because we went and saw them in Boise at the Coliseum down there.
Mm-hmm.
But they have like pyro and all sorts of fucking shit.
Nobody puts on a show like Rob Zombie.
And he like went around the fucking audience in like this big fucking it was like a fucking parade float ship that he floated around the audience in and played music in. Had people do their phones as lighters for when he did Africa, the Toto cover. And, you know, just watch it. And there's Cody Erickson told me what this instrument was, but I can't remember what it was. But it's like this thing you play with your mouth. And it's that maybe Ron knows what it is. Hey,
describe it.
It's almost like it makes this weird like noise. It's an instrument. You know the Weezer song where they play the instrument with their mouth. The dun 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 dun.
Oh, the skin flute.
You know what that instrument's called? Cody Erickson told me one time, and I can't remember what it.
Is it the one you pluck?
No, you have it in your mouth, and you're basically like mouthing the. He's basically has this thing in his mouth, and it's going.
Yeah, it sounds like a kazoo.
I feel like I knew what it was. I'm blanking on it right now. I feel like I did know that, but for some reason, my brain just keeps.
It's cool.
The
it's
the thing that you twang, a mouth harp.
Yeah, Jew's harp.
For some reason, that's the thing that my brain keeps going back to,
Yeah.
and I don't remember. But
God, there's so many weird fucking instruments.
Yeah. Well, and that was what was kind of cool is when they pull out something that you're like, oh, this is outside of the norm, and this is like it's a normal song that's on their rotation.
Yeah.
But they're doing this live. But now they're doing it live.
yeah,
What's that look like? And so that's kind of a cool element. But I was telling Hudds like Weezer will put on a pretty good like concert, especially if they're doing like a big headlining show. They didn't do so much when we went to the state fair and saw them.
Uh-huh.
It was a little lower key.
yeah.
But the show that we saw down in Boise, they had like pyrotechnics and shit and fire and he rode around I told this to Hudds. He rode around the stage in a fucking
Parade
like
float.
a parade float. This big ass boat.
That's badass.
Just went around the whole fucking audience from front to back. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was coming up with this list, and I just kept hitting on things, and I was like, no, I was 20 before that showed up. I mean, Tool is that way. Dave Matthews is that way.
Third Eye Blind was my latest, which was right when I turned 19 in college.
Yeah, so much of my stuff was post-teens. Because before that, like, I knew tons of songs, but I didn't know who did it because I didn't care.
Right.
Like, when I was a kid,
That
there
was me,
so
yeah.
much.
That's still me now to some degree.
It wasn't until literally like late stage high school that I started caring who did the song and really started. By then, I went through a very angsty phase and was really up my own ass for a little while in the latter years of high school. And so that was when I really started connecting with music. And so that was when I really, I'm with you. Prior to that, I didn't really, I was like, I love this song. It's badass. Who sings it? I don't fucking care. I like the song.
Well, yeah,
like that's how I used to be.
I think back and I'm like, well, I liked the Flies. I liked their stuff. They had a lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, and they had Got You Where I Want You was their big one. Because they got a ton of radio play. But on the other hand, like most of junior and senior high school, I had it on, solid gold 95 AM, listening to the hits of the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Right.
And, fucking Sinatra, like all kinds of stuff that was just...
Listening to the Beach Boys and Jan and Dean and the...
Centerfield. I loved when Centerfield came on. But I didn't care who was singing.
Yeah.
I didn't care who was playing.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Because, again, like, at that age, you're so fucking narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody is. Like, a lot of people hate themselves, and I was deeply in love with me.
I think even the ones that hate themselves still have a good enough grasp on narcissism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, like you said, I didn't
They hate themselves because they're
really
narcissistic.
give a shit who it was that was singing. It was I liked the song. That
Yeah.
was what mattered.
Well, in like Dire Straits, I loved Dire Straits all through my childhood, and I didn't really get into them as a band until after I was 20.
They were one that I was a huge fan of that I didn't even realize I was a huge fan of because I paid so little attention to those things that I didn't realize that the same guys who did Money for Nothing did Sultans of Swing.
And
I
Romeo and Juliet.
They were just too. Oh, and I didn't
And
even.
every
Dude, I
street
didn't even get into Romeo and Juliet until like post high school.
Well, that was Dustin's fault.
Yeah, it was.
Like I
It
didn't.
totally
I
was.
wasn't really into Romeo
totally
and Juliet
was.
until Dustin used to cry and sing it. It was
But
awesome.
yeah,
I
no,
love
like,
you,
it was,
Dustin. I know you're not watching.
Back then, I didn't know. There was a few that like Jim. One of Jim's favorite bands that was always in rotation was AC/DC, and so for one, Boz Scott and or Boz, what was his name? Bon Scott, and whoever it was, the dude that I can't ever remember his name. The dude that sings for him now.
Angus Young.
No, he's the guitar
No,
player.
he's the guitar player.
But they have, for one, such a unique. You know when it's fucking AC/DC.
Yeah, because they all sound exactly the same.
For one, the songs all sound identical.
TNT,
And if you haven't figured out it's
dynamite.
AC/DC by the time he starts singing, you definitely do the moment that he starts singing.
As soon as he opens his mouth.
And they're one that I really genuinely don't like. I don't like AC/DC, and I'll die on that.
No, because they only have one song. It's like Rob Zombie. I'll have a special place in my heart for him because he's a fucking showman. Like Rob
Dude
Zombie
knows how to put
concerts
on a
are
show.
fucking blast.
He is-
Dancing girls and
he is a
monsters
man
and
who
fire,
understands
like,
spectacle.
fuck yeah.
Here's a song.
yeah.
Here's a band that I didn't realize created all those songs. Like basically, you can say I didn't realize they created all those songs. The Hollies.
Oh yeah, dude.
I caught a doc. My dad was over one time, and I was working, and I could hear him watching a documentary about the Hollies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all these like they kept playing clips from all. It was like listening to one of those infomercials from the '90s. But they kept playing clips from all those songs. And I'm like, that can't be just one band. No, they made
They
like
totally are.
all those fucking
Yep.
songs.
Neil Sedaka is that way.
Yeah.
You're just like, shit.
He
I
did
went-
that
I saw him
too?
in concert.
Yeah,
And I was
so
just like-
familiar.
I was like, fucking, I know every one of these songs that this crazy old man is singing. And it was great.
You know,
I forged his signature once to win a scavenger hunt.
it's funny that you mentioned the infomercials because right around that time, when I was going through my angsty bullshit in my late high school years and whatnot, one of the things that I really struggled with my depression and whatnot was insomnia. And I could never sleep, and it wasn't like now where I'm just tired all the time.
Yeah,
It was like for some reason I was never tired. I struggled to sleep. Nights I would get no sleep at all, but it didn't catch up with me and affect me the way that it does now, where if I'm like, man, if I don't get at least 4 hours of sleep, I might as well not get up because I'm useless.
yeah.
But I would be at home and I couldn't make a shit ton of noise and wake the parents up or, be problematic or anything like that. So I would spend portions of the night laying in bed trying to fall asleep watching those. And that was one of the first places that I really started to gather. As Tori and I play a game
Like
on
cataloging
yeah,
trivia
I did,
information, basically.
because I'm cut from the same cloth of him. Of like, if you tell me the name and the artist, I don't forget it.
Yeah.
And Tori and I play this game on her Alexa called Song Quiz. That's like basically a 21st century version of Name That Tune. And they play you like 5 seconds or 3 seconds of a song, and there's all these different genres. And we'll play in the the 2000s or the 90s decades and whatnot, and then I'll throw her a curveball and I'll pick something from the 70s, and it's like just every once in a while you'll get something that you definitely should know, but then there's also these just totally. And when I go for the 60s, it even brings out stuff that I'm like, oh man, I didn't know that one.
Right.
But you see all of those songs. "Lonely Boy" by Andrew Gold, and does anyone even know? Do you know that? Oh, what a lonely boy. Yeah, that's Andrew Gold. Who the fuck knows that?
What a lonely boy.
Yeah.
But you know the song.
But I know the song
Right.
as well. But it's and that was where I first started to dive down learning new artists and learning more of like, oh, well, they sing that song and I really like that song. I wonder if they have any other songs that I like. That was always one of my least favorite things, was finding somebody who made a song that you loved, so you'd go and get their album.
And then that song was so different.
And that was the only song that was even like remotely worth a fuck.
Yeah.
I wonder if that parallels to how a person hunts for content or how they perceive like finding content.
I'm that way with a lot of movies.
Because
there are several people who I will watch, directors specifically. I'll watch their movie sight unseen just because I've been such a fan of everything else that they've done that I will at least give it a shot.
I used to be that way with a lot of stuff, but I gave up on it.
20, 30.
I was that way with a lot of stuff, but I gave up on it. Case in point, stuff like John Cusack, Bruce Willis. At a point in time, I felt like, oh, their filmography will never be bad. Like they'll never be a bad and it's not that, but there are movies that you can skip from their catalog. But at a point, there was a point in my life when I was like, I'm going to watch everything that they make. Everything. It doesn't matter what they make. I'll watch it. But they create content at such a rapid pace.
Especially
now
dude,
anymore.
Bruce Willis has a dozen movies a year.
Yeah, and so it's like I can't watch it. Like if I watch every Bruce Willis movie, then I'm giving up on. He might as well do a series.
Yeah.
For
if
the
you're
amount.
doing 12
thing
movies
is-
in a year,
the
you
thing
might
is
as well do 12 episodes.
Every
and get paid
movie,
more.
but the thing is that every movie that he's in, he's only has to film for 4 days
That's true.
or 5
Yeah,
days.
he's
or
in and
whatever.
out.
He's in and out, and then boom.
And
That's
has
how
a
he
new
can-
leather
That's how he
jacket.
makes 12
He's
movies. a year.
he's in it so
But-
they can put his face on the poster and sell it for
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's
viewing.
that's exactly what it
It-
is. He makes a cool mill, and they get to put his picture on the.
Because there are, I mean, movie gallery, Hollywood Video, these places that had shit movies, stuff from the Asylum that was designed to dupe you into like, well, they said that giant robot movie was really good. What'd they call that again? Was it Transmorphers, right? Wasn't that the name they said of it? And some schmuck
They're
rents it and
all there
whatnot.
to fuck with your
And
grandma. Like,
there are very obviously, because they still make all these movies and people still watch them and all that stuff, there is very obviously a large enough portion of the populace who are like, dude, new Bruce Willis movie, I'm in. Regardless.
Right.
Like, just
and that
sight unseen. It's
that's
Bruce
the-
Willis, I'm watching.
That's the
And-
thing is they the way they get the media to us now is different.
Yeah.
Because when you walked into a video store, they couldn't do that way because that Bruce Willis title would be buried somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they know it's a shit movie, but at the same time they can present it
And they
differently in a streaming
It wasn't
platform.
mass produced.
Right.
So they had,
you watched-
80 copies of it.
Right, they had like
watched
2
Die
copies
Hard,
of a
so
Bruce.
you're gonna like
so
The Huntress.
So Bruce Willis isn't going to do that movie
Yeah.
during that time
Yeah.
frame. But now when it's
totally
a fucking
different.
thumbnail on a scroll screen,
Yeah.
sure, I'll do that
he's
because
prominently displayed and he's in the movie for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's,
yeah, you're not looking at 17 copies of Superbad and 2 copies of the Bruce Willis movie. You're looking at Superbad, all these other titles next to each other.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You get to look at one title at a time, not 17.
Was his last real movie the last Die Hard movie?
Glass.
Red.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Glass.
Red
Glass
2.
would be the
That was
most recent
fucking
one I can think
tight.
of.
Yeah. Well, he did that. When did that one that came out the remake? You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
I don't think so. Glass would be the most recent one that I can think of.
Yeah.
The Brosnan.
Oh, Death Wish.
Death Wish.
Did he do a Death Wish?
Yeah, he did a Death Wish remake.
Death Wish was okay.
Wow.
Vincent D'Onofrio's in it.
No shit. That's a tight cast. Because when he turns it on, Bruce Willis is amazing.
It was
when he shows up to work.
It was an average movie.
And he's not just
sleepwalking.
Some of these
through it.
fucking ones that he'll be like, the dialogue is just so fucking
I don't even
dog
mind.
shit.
Like he knows what he's
Well,
doing.
I watched.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
getting a paycheck.
I
And
got-
I can't fucking
I got
fault a guy for
duped.
that.
no.
I got duped by that. So Schwarzenegger and Stallone made a movie where they're stuck in prison together and they have to break
Escape
out.
plan.
Escape plan.
Yeah.
They made a sequel that Stallone was on board for, but they couldn't get Arnold back, so they replaced Arnold with Dave Bautista.
He's a good actor.
He's a great actor.
He's the best
I really like him.
wrestler to actor there is.
He's more.
He's a better
he's got
actor
more
than The
range
Rock.
than The Rock. Yeah, he may not have as much charisma as The Rock,
Right.
but he's definitely
I'll watch
got more
The Rock
range.
in anything.
He's definitely. He was great in Blade Runner for that short little, very short section he was in. He was good.
Yeah. He's a fantastic
Speaking of The
actor.
Rock, but we'll get back to this. But remind me to talk about Howard Stern's interview about The Rock and a run for president.
Oh god.
I've heard he's thinking it.
Yeah, Batista's going to be in Knives Out too. Actually, I don't know if you saw that.
Oh.
yeah, that's,
was a
they
fun
just
movie.
like announced that today or yesterday. Him and Edward Norton.
What the fuck is with Ryan Johnson? Like he can't do Star Wars, but he can do
He can
awesome
do a lot of other
other
stuff.
things. Fucking weirdo.
But
Batista.
they
Escape Plan
they didn't replace him like he's playing the same character. It's the same premise basically.
Yeah,
But
he's the same dude with a different name.
I found out very quickly that it's their top build in the movie with this third guy that looks like he's going to be the guy that's with them breaking out of prison. The poster and cover is designed to look that way. I didn't watch the trailer. I enjoyed the first one. It was a dumb, fun Arnold and Stallone break out of prison movie.
Let me guess. The third guy became the prominent character.
The third guy is the lead. Stallone and Batista aren't even in prison because they need to send somebody in there to do something and then break out, but they can't send Stallone and Batista because they're too high profile or something like that. So they're in like a scene at the beginning of the movie with the
they're
guy.
getting too old for this shit.
Batista's not, but Stallone.
Right.
Stallone definitely.
Right,
is.
yeah.
But
He's
the
been too old
paycheck
for
just
this
wasn't
shit.
big enough for. But so they're
Since
literally
the aughts.
they're in a scene in the beginning of the movie where they are breaking everything down with the guy who winds up being our lead, and then they're at a scene at the end of the movie after
Where they
he gets
congratulate
back
and
out,
pat him on the back
and
and
then they're
give him a
in
bag
like
tag.
maybe like a phone call scene where they were just like, oh no, before you go,
A
can
Zoom
you take
meeting.
this phone and can we borrow you for 10 minutes and just have you say these couple lines really quick? But it was one of those, they're so hot on getting the Asian market going that they're pumping all this money into the Asian film market and co-financing with, that's what this was. They took the Escape Plan name and co-financed some other bullshit script that wasn't even actually an Escape Plan movie, and took some hot up-and-coming wannabe Asian film star guy and made this movie, and it was shit. It was so dumb and just, it was bad. I was pissed, but again,
They
they
did that-
duped me.
they did
even
that-
got me, and I pay attention to this.
They did that
shit.
successfully. They did that successfully in the 90s, though, because that was how Jackie Chan got in and how like people like Jet Li got in.
Oh, you remember that Lethal Weapon movie that Jet Li was in?
Lethal Weapon
I'd
4.
seen him in a couple of things before that, and he was
was-
fantastic.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah.
That was the shit.
That one was good.
That was a good movie. That was the one where you
All I
chopped
think of
something
when I
out
think
crap.
of Jackie
Yeah.
Chan, all I think of when I think of Jackie Chan is just noises, grunts.
He's phenomenal.
But he is great.
Yeah. There will probably never be another one like him.
My dad, for a while, thought he was dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had seen something like one of those fake news articles, and for at least 4 years, my dad thought Jackie Chan had died
Jackie Chan was
doing a stunt. And I go, no!
in a lot of ways, Jackie Chan was kind of my gateway into all of that Asian
The
cinema,
chop socky movies.
the kung fu action theater stuff, because I was into the American stuff your commandos and your kickboxers and Bloodsport and all that kind of
Fucking
shit.
Bloodsport holds
But
out.
they were all Americanized, Hollywoodized. The lead was always a white dude with blue eyes. And like then I watched, I think Rumble in the Bronx might have been the first one of his that I watched.
I know that was my first Jackie Chan movie.
Of course, then Rumble in the Bronx led to
Drunken
some of his
Master.
older stuff, Drunken Master. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
And
amazing.
then from there, it went
Rush Hour
to
trilogy. What's that?
Where are you peeing when it's light?
Right in the corner of the pool house, or the pool box.
and then it went from there to Bruce Lee movies and
Right.
all the actual old school Asian cinema that we always jokingly called Kung Fu Action Theater, but that was just
Yeah.
that was our name for whenever we watched one of those movies as a kid.
I wonder if, because Jackie Chan's filmography has like slowed way down, and I wonder if
I don't know that he really does anything anymore.
does he have to though?
Oh no, he probably didn't have to for a while. For all the money that he made throughout his career, I'm sure, I bet he made a whole hot mess of money on those Rush Hour movies because they were big.
Well, and so were the
And the
Shanghai movies too.
Yeah.
Those were both.
Between those alone, he probably made the bulk of his earnings, I would say, or I would imagine anyway.
Yeah. Oh. Pulling up our generation chart.
I've got to be out of here before 9
Okay.
because I got to get Annabelle. I had a slight change in plan in where she's
Housing.
staying for the show, so yeah.
Bloop.
So, I don't know if a better way to transition into talking about generations, but I'd say Jackie Chan's the best way to get in there.
Well, yeah.
Best natural transition.
I hate being
These charts, because I've pulled several, and a lot of these charts are inconsistent at best.
Oh yeah,
Like some of the generations don't exist in some of them are different. Like
see even some of these like I've not. And maybe this just shows how little attention I pay, but I've not.
some of the time frames are varied.
Gen Z, I've heard. So I've heard millennials, I've heard Generation Y, I've heard Generation Z, but Gen Alpha, Gen Next, the Interbellum generation. These are those are things that are completely
Well,
lost
and the
on me.
gap between them is bizarre to me because you have
There's
generation
some overlap.
Well, there's some serious overlap,
iGen and
yeah.
Gen Z from 95 to 2012. Well, that encompasses people that were born right as the internet was being introduced. Like it wasn't even like prominent.
Now, see, I
Well,
see.
And then people
the-
being born in the height of it.
The millennials thing, you cannot lump somebody who was born in 1980 in with somebody who was born in 1994.
No, we're
That's
totally different
There
people.
is
Right.
so much difference between there. Like that's way too long of a gap.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem I've had with it because like I've been called and why is Zennials only a 6-year
It's 10.
gap? Oh, 10-year gap.
Yeah. But see, I see Generation X as like 62 to 82.
Yeah.
60, maybe 61 to 81. But there's a definite break at 83. But just in mindset and attitude, there's a huge break at 83, 84. And I know 75 doesn't fit quite with the Zennials because my ex-wife was born in 75 and she's nothing like I would expect. So if you're gonna do a little intergeneration called the Zennials, I think it lasted from maybe 70.
Oh, there's an overlap.
to 82.
So you have Generation X going from 65 to 79,
right.
and then Zennials going from 75 to 89. Did they all go have an overlap like that?
There's all kinds.
Or does
the
our
whole thing
generation
overlaps,
have?
except the silent generation and the boomers?
Yeah, there's a
And-
bunch of overlap on it.
Okay. So then, I don't know. I don't feel like I fit in the Zennial.
There's something there, and I don't fit the definition of Zennial, though I fall in there, like right in the dead center of it.
So,
Right.
yeah.
I feel like I'm somewhere between X and Zennial, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, and the Zennials are supposed to be the between X and Millennials.
But I
because-
feel like I'm in between.
But yes,
Yeah.
I was born in '84, but I identify very, very little with and
If I had millennial tied to my name, I'd fucking blow my brains
see.
out.
I don't. There's a lot of
And
similarities,
it's
in this
right
stuff, but
there,
there's
like
also
on the.
some of
yeah,
this.
it's a cunt hair off.
Some of this shit is just the most like gross overgeneralization
Yeah.
of people
Right.
that you can
Right,
imagine, and I really
exactly.
don't like that. But like the people that I know who would be considered millennials or would identify, God help them, fucking actually identify themselves as a millennial.
Yeah, because there are
could
people out
not
there that are
be
proud to
more
be a millennial.
different than me.
Yeah.
I've got more in common with the fucking silent generation people than I have with them.
Well, yeah, but I spent a lot of time with my grandpa.
See, and that's a similar thing. I spent a lot of time with people who were from that generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my mom and my stepdad both worked shift work and whatnot, like I spent an inordinate amount of time with grandparents.
But like I said in the
And
chat,
that's why
like,
I talk like an old person so much that people are like, who says that? It's like, well, that was a thing that people who were born in the 20s and 30s said, but they don't say it anymore because you don't see many of those people anymore because most of them are dead.
God, we got to have a fuck around chat and actually talk about the show, chat. I have so much stupid shit on here. That Tango and Cash poster, which Cobra
That was so great.
Oh, you're talking about our.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk about when I was, or trying to find where I was talking about this so I can remind
We'll
myself.
we'll make a show for real.
Show notes,
Chat.
and just a fun chat.
TSPS
But
for real.
I've never, you know,
Give you a cheeseburger.
you see so many of these people. Like in my mind, the people who are quote unquote millennials is way closer to that 1994 than it is to that 1980.
That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
I've always.
Way
That's how
closer.
I've always felt about
Way
it.
closer.
Yeah.
Because
Because those were kids that were being born when you were going through your
There's-
basically entering your formative.
there's only
Yeah.
six.
I was turning 14
Yeah.
at the end of that.
There's only 6
like-
years difference between me and Amy, but the
Fuck, my dick gets
the
hard.
world of how like the social climate and everything especially in like junior high and high school,
Right.
even 6 years difference, the social climates that Amy dealt with and how the schools operated in terms of technology growth and internet and all of that kind of shit. There's only 6 years of difference between us, but it might as well have been 60 for how different it was.
Right.
So now why, and I'm going to show my ignorance here, but I don't mind. Why do they call them the lost generation?
I don't know. I didn't even know they had.
I was
going
going to ask that question, so I
Okay.
guess we're
Well,
looking
I
at it.
guess
up.
we'll-
because
I guess we'll
I
Google
started
it,
with
'cause
the
I was-
greatest.
The greatest is the oldest one that I know.
Yeah, I'd never heard any of the other ones. Now, and this is for those of you at home, the one of you watching. I said this, Jesus, 9 days ago at 8:00 in the morning. Fuck. I said, notice how we started naming generations with the greatest generation on through the silent boomers, X millennials, and now Z. I didn't realize there were fucking so many.
Neither did I.
And couple that with people claiming the last great reset started around the 1890s through the 1910s, which I guess is why they're the lost generation. And that kind of holds
The
up
loss because it's like, what next?
Yeah.
Oh, now next because
Yeah.
we figured we're.
Well, and that fits with what I was talking about, though. Like the Great Reset between the 1890s and the 10s, which contains the birth time of the greatest. Weird. Especially since they're talking about another reset now. Like there's world leaders in their speeches saying Great Reset. It's
Right.
fucking crazy. And
Well,
Z is
we're-
the last letter of the alphabet. Does that mean the post Z's are the next greatest? Mara and Annabelle get to be legendary, while Alex and Matthew and all three of Ward's kids just the parents of the next Silent. So our older kids will be the lost generation, and then these brand new ones that Ron and I have that are young enough.
Well, my daughter was born in 13, so she gets to eke
She
it
gets
in
a
there.
pass.
Barely.
Okay. And I said I wasn't even reading conspiracy shit this morning. But that's kind of that's what kicked off the idea for this discussion. And I don't know. And what does it say about the Lost? Read that real quick.
Says was a social generation cohort that came of age during World War I. Lost is in this context refers to the disoriented, wandering, directionless spirit of many of the war's survivors in the early post-war period. The term also particularly used to refer to the group of American expatriate writers living in Paris during the 1920s. Gertrude Stein is credited with coining the term, and it was subsequently popularized by Ernest Hemingway, who used it in the epigraph for his 1926 novel, The Sun Also Rises.
And, it's funny that you made the comment about, are our older kids going to be just part of the next lost generation, and the younger ones will be the new greatest generation. I think if you look at a lot of the kids that are in that age range of
it
where
kind
our
of forecasts
kids are at,
there.
it really does. The amount of change and upheaval and bullshit.
The things that my daughter latches onto that my kids don't quite like my other two boys don't quite grasp.
Yeah.
The pace at which she's getting it is exponential compared to them.
Yeah.
And it's weird to watch, and because they were born like 6-7 years apart.
Yeah.
You see my son, for example, still has his tangible DVD collection. But my daughter watches
vestige of a
YouTube
right
through an entirely different lens than my boys did.
Yeah.
It's way different.
Okay, this is much better.
You found a different one. Okay.
Lost greatest silent baby boomers, X, millennials, Zoomers, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha.
Yeah, that's what the list on the Wikipedia.
Oh, that's what I've got pulled up.
Oh,
I wanted to see it. I just couldn't see it.
That's the. But there's gonna be. There's gonna be that gap of kids who even are like Annabelle and Matthew. They're being raised by the same guy, but I'm a different person.
They're gonna be the worker bees, resistant to whatever the change happens to be, but compliant to some degree. Because I think those exist within every society. Because I'm kind of in that vein. Like, I'm here to exist and perform my job function, but I'm not here to. I don't want to lead anybody.
See, I like that. That fits closer to what I assumed. 65 to 80. Mom's not really a boomer, but she's not super Gen X, but she was born in 62, so it's not like she's on the cusp. Whereas
just
like
on that
I'm
edge.
On the cusp of Z and millennials or X and millennials, and that fits.
Yeah.
Like I really there's a little group there, and I swear they end at 83 and probably start at 78 ish, and there's a group there that is different. They're not quite Gen X.
Yeah.
And they're definitely not millennials.
Smack dab in the middle.
And like, we're comfortable with technology, but we're not that, how those people that it's everything they do.
Yeah.
My Snapchat's got to be updated. I've got to be on the Twitter. I've got to be on
Yeah.
every fucking social media.
Like, for example, whenever I do, like, we could probably do better with the show if I was more savvy with that stuff. But it's like a fucking fight every time we do a live show to share things out, and it's coupled with reluctance.
Yeah,
because I don't like it. On top of everything else, like, I like doing what we're doing. I love doing this. I love sitting here and talking. I don't like the work aspect of promoting, like the promotion piece of it.
Yeah. And I get it. Like I can pick up any social media app and just get it
Yeah.
immediately. And
No,
what
I
it's
understand
about, why it
everything
is
that's
the way it
happening,
is.
why it's happening. I just don't.
But I won't TikTok. I won't fucking Snapchat. Like Snapchat was where I stopped. I was like, I'm not going to do that. I've got a Twitter. I've got a Facebook. I've got a MySpace. I've got a
Same.
I've
That
got
was
a LinkedIn.
like, how many do I need?
Only reason
And I've
I
already
got-
got too many.
Yeah.
I got an Instagram for work when I was still working at Canna because I started doing their Instagram, so I figured it'd be a good thing for me to learn.
I enjoy Instagram more than I enjoy some of the
don't-
others because
I fell off Instagram.
don't
There's
have-
too many like fucking exercise whores and
I don't have
Oh,
Instagram anymore.
like there's
I-
so much stuff.
I got rid of it,
and
I
they've
don't
got
miss
that.
it.
They
I don't-
suggest you posts now, and
I
I'm just
don't
like, fuck
enjoy
that. I don't.
reading Instagram. I enjoy posting Instagram, and the reason I like it is because I like being able to, like, I'm never a double like I pride myself in that I don't double post.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't.
I don't
Tweet it,
post the same
Facebook
well,
it,
right.
and
And I don't post the
Instagram
same
it.
thing on Instagram 6 posts later.
Yeah.
Like, I try to post something fresh
yeah.
Yeah.
every time, and that's why, like, sometimes 3-4 weeks will go between posts because I don't have anything to post.
Yeah.
Other
Well,
times, like, I'll post 3 times a day.
I had things set up for certain things, like
Schedules,
Twitter,
yeah.
Twitter was random thoughts, like just stuff that wasn't fully formed because you had 140 characters, and now they've doubled
Right.
that. And,
Yeah.
I originally was going to write a book based on my tweets.
well, and there's people that would write fucking books. They'd use Tweet Longer, or they would do a series of like 30. Like, just make a Facebook post and
Right.
link it.
Yeah.
Cocksucker.
Right, right. Yeah,
You're
just
on
or
the
a
wrong
blog.
platform.
The premise for my Twitter post
Or
was
just
to
do a
keep
blog.
things within the 140 characters, but then the book was to basically break down the tweet, like, and be like, this is what
This
where
is
my
why I
mind
did
was
these
at this
140
time. Yeah,
characters.
this is where I was, and it was really that the idea of it was really interesting to me. It still kind of is, but it's not now because all those tweets that were, because I was posting for a while some really like borderline inappropriate, just weird off kilter tweets for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're way buried down in the bottom of my feed, and to hunt them down without having some sort of Asian baby algorithm where I'd look for
Yeah.
posts about like
did I drop a racial thing?
right.
here?
Short of doing that, I'm not going to find those. Like, I can't scroll through my tweet history. I just don't have the desire or time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Facebook was for fully formed thoughts and really just for keeping track of people,
Yeah.
because that's been Facebook's great thing is everybody was on it for a while.
MySpace was for ranking your friends.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's why it
yeah.
failed
Yeah.
in some degree.
And then I had Google Plus for like my really big thoughts, and then they shut Google Plus down, and I just quit having big thoughts.
Funny how that happens. I didn't have Twitter for a really, really long time. I just recently got it, actually, with being on the show. And admittedly, one of the only reasons why I got it and never started playing around with it was because of this show.
Yeah.
Twitter used to be, it's different now because they've broadened the spectrum and expanded the character count and whatnot to try and get more eyes, because that's the whole fucking point of it.
They've doubled it.
You
Yeah.
keep your eyes on their page or their screen or whatever. But Twitter at the time was one of those, in its infancy, was something that, like you said, it was for quick thoughts.
Yeah.
It was for quick ideas and quick thoughts. And I always had the like kind of smart-assy but self-deprecating idea that, dude, I don't do anything interesting or important enough that I need to just like, oh, hey, BT Dubs did this.
Yeah.
To tell people, my life ain't that interesting. Don't need to do that. And, it's not that way anymore. I've noticed it's a little bit different. And I play around with it a little bit, but I still don't use it all that much. Instagram, again, only got it for work at Canna. Snapchat, Tori and I have had extensive conversations about this. I firmly believe Snapchat only exists for people to be shady and cheat on their significant others or do morally bankrupt shit.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's the only reason it exists, because everything that it does, other apps do. Every person that has ever tried to explain to me why they use it can't quantify it outside of anything that the other apps do. The only thing that's different is that Snapchat erases it.
Oh.
You send somebody a Snapchat. So, and I seriously,
That's the reason my kids use it. Is
every
'cause,
time
like,
that anybody, well, you can,
but you can still screenshot it, but it tells them that you
it tells them that
screenshot
they
it.
screenshotted it.
Yeah.
And some of them you can't screenshot. You can turn that off.
Right.
And but yeah, it's it does filters that Facebook Messenger doesn't have. Really, it's that important to you? That's why?
Yeah.
It's that important? No.
No, you want to send pictures of your dick to strangers.
It's for the internet, and social media is all about blowing yourself. Look at how many people liked this. Ooh, I posted this picture of that I look really cute in this dress, and look at how many people said I look cute. Yeah, Snapchat is the same exact thing, except for you have a wider array of what you can do because you are in direct control of where it goes and who sees it. And there's no breadcrumbs and no evidence.
Yeah.
And I seriously, I've never been able to have somebody make an explanation to me about it that actually holds any water, because everything is like, oh, well, I like it that it does this. So do Messenger and Instagram and da-da-da. Well, I like that it does this. Yeah, so do these. So do these. The only thing that it does is, and I've literally had people.
It's a digital shredder.
It is. And I've literally had people use that as a selling point of like, well, yeah, I can post something to it and then I don't have to worry 24 hours later it's gone and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Like, that's part of their selling point to it. And my brain just goes, huh? Like, I don't get that unless you're using it for something that you don't want to share with everyone. And I'm not about that. Maybe it's because I have trust issues because of the amount of times that I've been cheated on in the past. But I'm just not about that. I don't. Transparency is a great thing.
Yeah.
And I struggle with it. I'm human. There are things that I've not been transparent about. There are things that I should be more transparent about. I mean, everybody's perfect, but that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm driving at is that when you create an app that exists solely to feed that functionality,
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. I think it's facilitating people doing shit that they shouldn't do.
And they're working toward the downfall of everything. That's the thing. And as much as, I hate to be that
The generation
fucking guy
playing
all
with
the
it is the Z.
Yeah.
The Z generation.
The last generation.
All these.
Well, and so the funny thing about the Z generation is when you say the last generation, it suggests to me end times.
Yeah.
Like,
My
which,
only problem with
which
end
is
time
a
shit-
which can be a possibility if you take into account all of the talk of like global warming and everything's coming to
But
a close.
the problem with that though is people have had those thoughts
For
every generation,
Right.
Yeah.
forever. Everybody's thought they were the end of things
right.
since before
This
Jesus
is the
came.
worst. It's not.
I mean, there's one
not
of the
gonna make it
first.
through
Right. That's
this.
every one of these generations that we just
Yeah.
touched on. They still have that's not how we did it when we were kids.
Yeah.
And when we were told that when we were kids, we were like, we bucked at it. We were
Yeah.
like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Don't be a douchebag about when we were kids. Leave me alone with that shit.
One of the
But
first
those
examples
people
of
were
writing,
the same way to the generation, to the group of people before them.
It's cyclical.
one of
Yeah.
the first examples of writing is somebody complaining about young people today.
Right.
And it was from ancient Babylon or something. And I mean, they found an accounting book. It was a tablet they'd been scratching.
And
at.
somehow
somebody
we
complaining
still
about
managed
kids these days.
to soldier on.
It's a human nature kind of thing.
And we will continue.
You're always gonna You're going to rail against the generation that came before you because it was different back then and they just don't understand what we're going through now.
My dad doesn't understand.
And then as you get older, you will rail against the younger new generation because what the fuck is wrong with them and why are you doing it so
Why
different?
can't you get
why
your
can't
shit
you do it the way that we did? Because fuck, we had it figured out. And that's every generation to a T.
Ever.
That's what they all think.
They get to be our
the
age,
preceding
and it's
generation
fucking-
just doesn't understand, and the upcoming generation is God help us all because look what they're doing to the fucking future.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
It's usually
all it is.
2 generations before.
Yeah, it's
and you
usually not
dislike the one
direct-
right under you.
Yeah, it's usually
Because
not
they
the
were-
direct preceding.
They were kindergarten kids when you were in senior. The gay fucking kindergarten kids are stupid. Look at that shit they like. They like that Tinky Winky and that fucking creepy baby son.
Fucking Barney.
Barney.
Yeah, yeah. Everything that we had was better than what you have now because what you have is just
Well,
derivative
that's
and
yeah,
shitty
because
of what we had,
you
and
catch a glimpse
not
of
realizing
when
that,
you're
like,
20, you catch a glimpse of the kids shows on TV, and you're like, "What is happening?
This is
Yeah.
so stupid.
What is going on?"
This is dumb.
And I don't
shit
feel
ever.
like that now. Like some of them are great.
Oh,
There's some hot garbage, but there's some
yeah.
really. There are some children's programs.
Phineas
that I'm
and Ferb.
Man, I wish
You ever
that
watch
would've been
Phineas
on
and
when I was a
Ferb?
kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
Phineas and Ferb is fun.
Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is
I
fucking
would have
amazing.
I would have killed for Gravity Falls when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I love that show. It's great, super good.
yeah.
Yeah. And they're right in the right spot for Alex.
And
Like, I doubt Mara will ever get into Gravity Falls.
it's funny. Well, you'd be surprised.
But they're 10
'Cause,
years
like,
apart.
But like Matthew and Annabelle are 7 years apart, 6 years apart.
My daughter's discovering stuff that my kids were into, or my boys were into, and she's getting into like
I like how you separate her from your kids.
my kids.
I
Those
other
I keep
ones.
saying that.
I
My
introduced, I introduced Matthew to, just for example, Freakazoid several years ago. He was a little older than Annabelle is now, but he was young when I introduced him to it, and he fucking loves it. And I've since introduced it to Annabelle. Same.
Yeah.
Some stuff
Some things
just
will
really does carry and hold up. But
Wow, some stuff
daughters are
doesn't.
daughters
some
are
stuff-
different than
yeah,
kids.
that's the thing is some stuff doesn't. Like
He-Man,
I've gone
G.I.
through
Joe,
and
that
seen,
shit does not hold up.
dude, David the Gnome.
That holds up.
No, it doesn't.
Really?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't hold up at all. It's really bad. Don't go back and watch it.
No!
Yeah. No, I know. I found out the hard way. Don't do it.
Pit Pat and Pot.
It's because I loved it. That was one that was a don't miss. I
Orko
loved David the
doesn't
Gnome.
hold up.
No, nothing about it except Skeletor holds up.
Yeah.
Evelyn, grab my tampons.
The
Fucking fantastic.
And see, at the time when I was a kid, like Orko was my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Then I was
love
collecting
Orko,
the.
but
Did you guys ever collect those magazines with the stickers that you put in them? You know what I'm talking about?
no, I don't think so. I didn't really. I
fucking kids these days, right?
Yeah,
Jesus.
fucking faggot.
Demonetized.
damn.
Yeah,
And there
yeah.
it is.
Cancel.
No,
I've said gay
It's
like
my
a
generation.
lot.
It's a I'm a
But-
product of my generation.
even some of the stuff that does genuinely hold up holds up in different ways. Like I can still sit down and watch episodes of the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon, even though it's not
Panini books.
even though it's not great, there's still aspects of it that hold up really well. But then you put that next to something like Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
That you can still sit down and turn on pretty much any episode. And it's boom. Just fucking banging. I was reading a little bit about the Bible of that show.
I've got it.
the other day. Oh, of the
I've
animated
got
series?
a digital copy
That's
of
cool.
it somewhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. The rules that they had and
Oh, I had that.
Yeah,
I had that.
Panini sticker
and then
album.
you put the
Yeah.
stickers.
Tila never
So
did it
that's
for
what-
me. She-Ra, though.
You would buy
heck
you'd buy like
yeah,
sticker
yeah.
packs, and you'd put the stickers in over
I do
the
remember these.
Yeah.
I do. I didn't really
the blank
collect them or
spots,
had
and
much
those
of
were
them,
your
but
color palettes in the.
I do. I do remember those. Wow, that's a blast from the past right there.
Yeah. And you could like you had to buy like, and I never was able to fill a whole book.
No. But I remember the smell of those fucking things. No, I was always a Skeletor guy, and going back and watching it, you're disappointed in Skeletor because he doesn't just fucking kill people. You're like, why don't you kill that motherfucker?
He-Man was one that I honestly was never really all that into.
Well, and
I didn't get super into it. I was.
No, he was like Dungeons and Dragons and a superhero.
I'm still
he was
waiting.
5th edition D&D before there was a 5th edition D&D.
I'm still waiting for Frank Langella to be back.
Yeah,
because he teased it at the end of the Masters of the Universe movie where he comes out. He's like,
such a fucking tragic story. The way that worked out, like, they got half the funding.
They were using fucking Star Wars props in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sad.
My dad pointed that out when I was a kid. I was like, those were from Star Wars.
Yeah. But they were counting on another 20 million that never materialized. They were like, we don't want to do that. But we put our 20 million up front.
There's
fucking bullshit.
Space Mutiny. It's a movie I watched part of here just the other day. Because it came across my nose on the Amazon Prime, and it's a really, really hilarious. Mystery Science Theater did an episode about it. It's a really great, fun, bad movie.
These busty women that they always drew.
The 50s tits.
Yeah.
Missiles.
Yeah.
But
terrible, bro.
It was in Space Mutiny. It was after the original Battlestar Galactica had ended and whatnot. And they purchased a couple of the like ship props and used them in the movie. So
wow.
That was the Battlestar. What the fuck is that? You know, and they got in a little bit of trouble, if I remember correctly, for using some of the sound effects too that they weren't supposed to use. But
yeah, you don't fuck with Foley artists.
No. You ever pay attention to some of that stuff and how distinct, like, there is no movie, or series of movies, rather, I should say, that punches sound the way that they do in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
At all.
I wonder what
like
he's
this
hitting.
like meaty.
Yeah, like he's obviously hitting like a just freshly thawed turkey or something with a 2x4. He's hacksaw Jim Duggan and
the sound production and
when I was
all
like
of those
12
Lucas movies, those Star Wars included, they're all so iconic and so perfectly well done.
Yeah.
We went to Universal Studios when I was 12, and we went to like a Foley show.
Oh, cool!
And it was kind of cool watching like they basically the movie at the time was they were recreating. They would play like muted scenes from Harry and the Hendersons, and then they'd bring people from the audience down.
Was that like 88?
92. Oh. Well, the movie was probably, but you got to remember this.
The first
Universal
time I was
Studios.
At Universal Studios was in 88.
Universal Studios played like a few years behind when the movie came out. Like they'd hold on to that shit for a couple years.
I saw
after
a
the
picture
fact.
from that trip yesterday. Me and my grandpa in King Kong's mitt at Universal Studios. It was great.
So that was 87. So 5 years later, they were still using Harry and the Henderson stuff at the Universal Studios because they're going to hold on to that for a while.
Well, yeah, until they turned it into a fucking theme park.
Right.
It really was a cool place to go. There was a big backdraft. Set up in 88.
We went to that.
And the Miami Vice stunt show was
We did
awesome.
we went to the Miami Vice stunt show. It was Waterworld when we went
they switched it
a few years ago.
Probably try to get more people to watch that so they can make a little bit of money back.
Well, that was 2016 was Waterworld.
Jesus.
Oh, wow.
They haven't done much.
That's a little behind
since then. So they're behind the curve at the studios. But basically what they would do, like, they'd have people come down from the audience and they would have people be the Foley artists for the scenes, but do it live. So they had like celery down there. So like when someone, like if there was like a leg break or something like that or something, a weird fall, they'd break the celery.
You can find I've watched a couple YouTube videos of people discussing it and showing how they do the different things. There's a ton of interesting shit that you can find on YouTube about
The whole
it.
story of that shit is interesting. Like, it's called Foley because of a dude named Foley who was really good at it.
Just creating sounds
Yeah.
for things
Yeah.
He's
that you wouldn't think would and using things that you wouldn't think would create those sounds.
He's dropping a bowling ball on some bricks or something, and it makes this distinct sound.
It always
And it
reminds
sells.
me of the South Park when they're talking about I think it's the first Halloween episode when they're talking about the dead bodies, and it would sound like shoving your fist into a jar of mayonnaise, and they make the sound. It's so fucking gross sounding.
And it was probably a fist into a jar of mayonnaise.
And it's probably what the actual
exactly
sound was.
Because if I know Trey
I-
Parker and Matt Stone, they're like, we need to do, we need to put a
exactly.
And,
fist
like,
into a jar of mayonnaise.
I've gotten my foot stuck in mud before. I've played with like putty slime and stuff with my kids before. So like I have a pretty decent idea, I think, of what it would probably sound like. And I think
Now I want to go fist some
now I want to go
mayonnaise
fist a big thing of mayonnaise just to see what it sounds
just
like.
to see what happens.
It's so quiet, I can't hear anything. Disappointment.
I need a high gain mic.
All right, well, we better get out of here.
I was gonna say, I gotta get rolling to pick up Annabelle.
We's got places to be.
Gotta get up early.
Doctor's
Appointment tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
9:45.
Banging out before we go to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron and I are going to Chad Daniels tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Super excited.
That'll be fun. In the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to Rick and let him finish out because that's the easiest way to do this.
Here you go. Good night, everybody.
Later.